with a
Wake
bang,
up.
quicksand, asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, there was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engagement out from Sejuani, but it's traded back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the goal.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys. Actually, they're not all same. It's Big Bongo.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, it is but Boxer Squirrel in the midst of all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his path dies, and she can find right to it. That does not, unfortunately, have to be enough up to heal up. They call him back in the circle, but finds what? Did she find? No, she can shut down, and the exchange of life is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to bring him back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CL that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali
extremely well.
And she can't get out, simply tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact fall.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the
They don't.
and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into Game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champions Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank type.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Normally Darius is over this and it looks like they're just stopping Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. The first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters. And then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good death running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9k HP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong. But this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Gil Death trying to stall time for his 80 carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series. It seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo Boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Risen Recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a
Wake
bang,
up.
quicksand, asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, there was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engagement out from Sejuani, but it's traded back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the goal.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys. Actually, they're not all same. Big Bongo.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and then but Boxer Squirrel in the midst of all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his path dies, and she can find right to it. That does not, unfortunately, have to be enough up to heal up. They call him back in the circuit, but finds what? Did she find? No, she can shut down, and the exchange of life is so insane. And Maokai finds the damage to bring him back, and he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly,
They
still
find
performing
Akali.
extremely well.
And she can't get out, simply tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact fall.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
It's so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not directly hit on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take
They don't.
and give it to me.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champions Block, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a 4th-10 type.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Normally Darius is on. Looks like they're just first off the background.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters. And then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9k HP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong, but this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Gil Death trying to stall time for his AD carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and the series. It seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo Boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a
Wake
bang,
up!
Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black for the first 20 minutes of the game. What's up, everyone? Welcome back! I've been away for a little bit, but I finally managed to pull back in, and we are just about to start our Risen Draft. Oh, sorry, Risen Unstoppable League. I've been away for a little too long. Risen Unstoppable League, and not only is it Risen Unstoppable, it's playoffs. We finally made it all the way here, and who do I get to be joined by more than anyone I could wish for? It's going to be Slatty, and who is that?
I am formerly known as Mousetrap. I'm going through a bit of an identity crisis here, but trying out this new name here. I think it fits me a bit more. So, but either way, I am excited to be here as Hyper Sloth. So, hello everyone.
Hello, Hyper Sloth. Nice to meet you. Rebranded from Mousetrap. And what about you, Slatty? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm a little bit nervous because in my class, they went around asking other people for the jobs, and I kind of played up the story and said that this was my job, casting games. And so the class asked to see the stream, so we might have some people from my writing class watching the stream. So I gotta do my best.
Welcome, Slatty's writing class. That's awesome.
Okay, so just a quick recap as well. My apologies. There is another league in playoffs right now, but currently we are just about to reach that point. So for now, we are just chilling out, and we are still going to smash into this first game of the day. Stakes are still high. Despite the fact that they may not be in playoffs, they still are looking for their spot to climb in. And both these teams are fairly close in score. We're going to see USF White playing against Deep Sea Gaming Blue today. Now, Deep Sea Gaming, 3-2 overall, while USF White, 4-1, which means if Deep Sea can take the victory, they can level out the playing field on both ends and find themselves in a much better spot to qualify for playoffs. Now, look, I don't think we have too much time right now. Draft looks just about ready. Slatty, Hypersloth. Before we go in, I'd like to get your feelings. Do we know anything about these teams? Do we have any OPGGs up? What's the vibe we're getting from both sides?
I've been taking a quick look at their op.ggs. We are going to hopefully get something special. I haven't seen any big one tricks yet, other than Cheese, of course. I think we did a stream on these guys earlier. Cheese with the Vigar, 56 win rate, 111 games. Still is his favorite champion. I don't think we will see it this time around because, as I remember last time, it also was taken out every single time. So with that kind of mentality in mind, just getting rid of those one tricks again at this level is just going to be very important.
Yeah, and I mean, have we seen any changes? Like, I know Worlds is out right now, and we've been keeping up. First of all, look, as an Aussie myself, we did get kicked out a little bit early.
You're gonna bring it up.
Now getting into drafts for this game. Yeah, let's not talk about NA.
All right, we'll talk about it later.
Okay,
All right, wonderful. Either way, we can argue about how NA is doing at Worlds later, maybe post-game, see how we're feeling. For now, it looks like draft is just about ready to hop in, get popping, get going. I'll leave it to you guys, and I'll see you guys after the game.
All right, thank you so much, Quicksand.
All right, we're getting into draft of game 1 of this first playoffs game. Really excited to see what happens because playoffs is really the time where you start to, you learn stuff during the regular season and then you execute it during playoffs. With playoffs, it's pretty hard to switch styles and switch what you're doing, so you'll probably see teams more so have a more concrete plan on what they want to do. So this is where it really gets exciting.
Yeah, it just looks like we are waiting on one person just to start the draft this time around, so hopefully we will get that started in a few minutes. But I think one thing that we also can just talk about real quick is, again, the difference, because now that we are in like a Worlds meta, like, are there any particular champions that you've seen at Worlds that you kind of want to see here? And for me, one of the things that I am really excited for is I'm hoping we get to see a lot of Aatrox. He is one of my favorite champions, but we have not seen him a lot. So I'm hoping that we get some kind of action here.
I would also agree on the Aatrox. I think he's very interesting to cast, commentate, and also watch because he's a very skill-expressive champion. He's pretty much his entire kit is relying on skill shots. So I think him coming out of this will be really good. Also, he's not like a terribly hard champion. You can play him at this sort of gold plat level and still find some good success. You don't need to hit every Q to really do amazing on this champion. So I would agree. I hope to see him out. But
he is one of my favorite champions. I put him in, like, I'm not even a top laner anymore, but when I was a top laner, he was one of my, like, I want to say, like, best 3 champions. And the only reason I didn't play him as much is because I was, low elo and I couldn't really land the knockups consistently. So he is still one of my favorite champions because that is the kind of style I really like to play in this game. But we are finally into draft, so let's turn our attention to, instead of predicted picks, let's see what actually goes down here.
Yeah, and we see them as fortune ban. As you were talking about Worlds picks before, this champion picked at Worlds a ton. It's very reliable early game laner. Can provide some value in terms of the late game, but it's interesting to see a Soraka ban because it's not really an enchanter meta right now, so that's a little bit confusing to me. Maybe USF White has someone who plays that enchantery style, or this is completely valid. We're at gold, plat, elo range. You can completely make decisions like this where you just say, hey, we don't like playing against Soraka, let's not let her in the game.
Soraka is, I think, one of the most powerful champions just because of the agents. You have to kill a team, like at least one member of the team, essentially twice. Sometimes you have to kill the entire team twice if she gets fed it up and is able to heal her entire team up that way. So I think getting rid of the Soraka, I think it is such a powerful pick in this elo. So I think getting rid of that is a very good move here from Deep Sea Gaming. And instead, we're actually going to see a Tristana, the first picked up here for USF White.
Let's go! This is my favorite champion.
I'm just not a fan, I forgot.
I have 500k mastery points on this champion. She is super fun to play, and she's very interesting and competitive. If you are playing, I'm not going to go and predict it. I won't try to predict too much, but I do think you would want to pair it with something like an engage support so you can get that early game advantage. But if you know that they're going to play an enchanter and they lock in something very aggressive or very defensive, you can kind of pick and choose. She's a very flexible AD carry, but no surprise, the Maokai. Talk to us a little bit about Maokai, the Maokai pick here.
So, again, with Maokai, triple flex pick. It can go into the top lane, it can go into the jungle, it can go into the support role. It is so much agency for the side of the Deep Sea Gaming, because first it has the flex power in the actual draft, but then in game, just so much CC. You have so much engage from this Maokai. To follow up, they also picked up a Seraphine as well, which could just follow up on that engage so beautifully. So I think they're already starting to form a bit of a wombo combo comp here, and we'll see how they're able to close that out.
And the Janna locked in with Tristana. You know, I don't like this pairing. I would never want to play this pairing. She doesn't really provide... Janna, sort of in the late game, she doesn't provide that much like attack speed steroid and extra stats to like an 80 carry. She does have that peel potential, but overall, she doesn't really synergize too well in lane with Tristana. Janna's more so about the poke and the pressure and pushing the wave in. Tristana does push the wave in, but she doesn't really like get too much out of it. So I don't really necessarily agree with this Janna pick. I think they could have picked something maybe like Nautilus or Thresh or even something like a Lulu, but it's neither here or there.
I was about to suggest maybe it's actually Tristana mid, and maybe this Janna pick would sort of indicate that they were not actually planning on going, an aggressive ADC with a passive support. But it looks like, nope, I'm wrong, and that's exactly what they're going with. So a bit curious here, seeing that pairing of the Tristana and the Janna, and they're obviously not going mid lane as Anivia is locked in here, and the response from the other side is Caitlyn. So first 3 picks for each team, and like I said, I think I'm liking right now more Deep Sea Gaming's draft, but we'll see how USF White is able to close it out.
I think Deep Sea Gaming's draft is extremely flexible because you have Seraphine, you can flex on multiple roles, Maokai flex on multiple roles, but we don't really know how effective their draft is, especially with something like a lot of flex picks until that 4th and 5th pick. So I'm interested to see how they would respond, or like move these different laners, but I do think the Caitlyn Seraphine combo is also pretty good. I think that is way more powerful than something like a Tristana, Janna, and we see picks bans come out, and they look to prioritize taking out some top laners on the side of DC Gaming. Do you know why they potentially would do that? Maybe it's because they're picking their top laner first?
I mean, taking out a Set is not a bad idea if you do have a tank on your side because of his ultimate. His ultimate does scale off of whoever he grabs, their max health. So he grabs Maokai, slams him into the backline. That just does a heck of a lot more damage than it would if he picked up a Seraphine or something like that. So I think getting rid of this Set, who is able to, take the biggest guy on the enemy team, which is that Maokai, and use him as a weapon, I think is a smart move.
Last ban coming out from the side of USF White, they opt to ban the Graves. This Renekton in the set, they don't want these early aggressors to come in full force, and that maybe might indicate that they want a Maokai up there to stabilize that lane, because Maokai is that kind of tank where if you just keep him up there, like something like an Ornn, he's going to do a lot of damage, but as I speak of Ornn, he gets locked in.
You got baited!
Turns
it
out
is not Maokai in the top lane. It looks like they're still keeping that flex pick open. And that leads me to believe that you are right. The Seraphine will be going into the bot lane with the Caitlyn and saving their counter pick for mid. But that is a bit curious because I would have actually locked in the mid laner here just because they've already picked up the Anivia on USF White. So a bit curious why they would opt in for the Ornn. But I mean, Ornn is a powerful pick, has tons of engage, is inherently tanky. So definitely not a bad pick at all, and is a very safe line pick as well.
I think probably the philosophy behind the Ornn pick is not necessarily that like, oh, we want to pick this over our mid laner here, but rather it's that USS White comp gets really good with something like an Ornn, and especially an Ornn into a Maokai. If that lane is stabilized, I think the Ornn does in fact outscale there. So maybe taking out that one sort of scaling threat from the top lane can allow them to force them to essentially play something a lot more aggressive when it's not going to matter in the late game.
No, the downside of picking up this Ornn early, though, is it saves the counter pick for the opposite team, and they will be going, looks like, with the Olaf. Although they can maybe perhaps go with the Volibear instead in that top lane, have a bit of a battle of the brothers up there, but in my opinion, I just think Olaf is a much better pick into the Ornn because of that armor shred that he does provide. With Jarvan picked up here, okay, so I think I got baited. I think that is Seraphine mid, now Maokai support, Jarvan jungle, Ornn top. I think that's what we're going with this game, but that leaves a bit curious why they would save their counter pick for their jungler. But I think again, just perhaps that might have just been maybe they didn't know that that's what they were going to do, and instead, after they saw the full draft from USF White, opted in for this Jarvan. So that's also a possibility as well. But we finally have all 5 champions picked for all the teams, and I'm very excited either way.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting draft, especially from Deep Sea Gaming, because I like the fact that they're going for that ease of execution wombo combo. Oftentimes you see in these kind of leagues is that one team just says, we are just going to wombo combo or do a very simple and execute comp, and then the other team goes for something a little more fancy. Maybe conceptually could be better if all the pieces fall into place, but it's a lot harder to put those pieces in its correct spots. So I would argue that Deep Sea Gaming, I think, has like a distinct advantage because of that ease of execution. Jarvan can engage with a Seraphine behind them. Ornn, also great engage. Maokai engage. They have so many, they can just pick and choose when and where they fight, which is definitely a great factor if you want to take a commanding lead or even make a great comeback into a game like this.
There's plenty of engage on the side of Deep Sea Gaming. However, if you look on USF White, who is one of the best disengaging champions in the game, you have the Janna. So maybe that is, instead of going for a lane dominant pick here, they were just looking for more of a team fight oriented. They are already seen the Maokai, they had already seen the Seraphine. Perhaps they knew that this was the kind of comp they were going for, and instead opted in for the Janna to just try and prevent that multi-engage just from landing on the Tristana, from landing on the Anivia, and perhaps that is more, instead of a lane dominant pick, is what they were going for. So that engage, there is a lot of it with Ord, with Jarvan, but if timed correctly, I think Janna really does have the opportunity to turn that around.
Yeah, and I would like to add to this is that, you know how we talked about the interesting how they, pick their jungler as the last pick, very uncharacteristics of a sort of normal draft, but I think it's actually a pretty great last pick because this Olaf was picked. Your team comp has so much CC, the Ornn, the Seraphine, the Caitlyn traps. You have so much the Maokai in general. He has two like stuns. So Olaf being in that comp allows him to just say, no, your stuns don't matter. And a huge part of what makes your team comp very effective is negated. But what this Jarvan does is it allows him to just Cataclysm the Olaf. And even though that's not a traditional CC, it locks Olaf up because Olaf actually has 0 mobility tools without a flash.
Mm-hmm. But because Olaf used to be a jungler, and I did play some jungle, obviously. One of the dangers of doing that though is if you Cataclysm it as Jarvan, it suddenly becomes Olaf looks at him, it's like, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're now trapped in here with me, and it becomes very scary for the Jarvan if he doesn't have stopwatch or an escape. So definitely, I think DD Town does have to be a bit careful with how he uses the Cataclysm in order to effectively maintain that Olaf. But absolutely, if he Cataclysms in and then EQs out, Olaf is trapped. He's not going to be able to escape the Cataclysm and essentially bringing his ult to being useless. So definitely going to have to see that skill expression here from Dinny Town to see if he actually can lock up the Olaf.
I'm liking both these comps personally. From my perspective, I think the Tristana does a really great job. I'll keep talking about Tristana no matter what, but I think she can buffer her rocket jump to get out of Seraphine's charm. She has the ability to escape the Jarvan Cataclysm with her jump. Ornn, you can jump out of stuff. There's a lot of counterplay that Tristana has in this comp, and if Janna and Tristana can play the late game sort of in a proper setting, and she builds something like an LDR. If she builds LDR into this team comp, they're not having fun playing the game, and she can shred that front line into the back line. So viewing this from a more 80 carry bot lane focused lens, we've seen Lucas play before, and from my memory, I think he's a pretty consistent good 80 carry. We'll have to see if he stays the same way in this game.
Yes, unfortunately, if we do look on the side of Deep Sea Gaming, there is the issue of they really only have one damage dealer in the Caitlyn. You do have to be careful that, like, Seraphine in the mid lane does do some damage, but is not going to be your main source, right? And then, sorry about that. And then with 3 tanks as well, that's just not a lot of damage coming from this comp. They really are relying on Caitlyn to get ahead, make sure that they can set up enough of the wombo combo in order for her to do that damage, while at the same time preventing the Volibear and the Olaf getting onto the Caitlyn, because that is their main source of damage. And if she falls, they just will not win these team fights.
So as, I think we're going to probably throw it into an intermission right now before the game starts. so we can set up the in-game camera, make sure everything's going, make sure it's the proper experience for the Risen Esports viewers. So we're going to throw it to that, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a
Wake
bang,
up!
Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v2 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to his teeth with Swift Death does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up. And they call comes back in the circuit, flip finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage retrieval back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali.
extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the ace, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9 KHP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong, but this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Good Death trying to stall time for his 80 carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series. It seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo Boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night.
Welcome back.
13, 14, 15. Yeah, we're good.
Are we good? Is everything good?
I'm fine. Let me know
Okay.
when we're back in.
I think we are. I think we're actually back in right now. Okay. Oh, this is very scuffed. The scuffed adventures of Risen Esports. As we see, early 5-man mid. I don't know if they're trying to ARAM this game. That's not really normal invade strategy. You usually like to go on sort of a 5-point, but interesting decisions coming out of playoffs. Maybe a new playoff strat. You try to get everyone emo in mid, and then you're like an all-in play. But we see both. We see, Volibear starting bot, Jarvan looking to start top lane. What do you think of the pathing here? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree? Where do you think they could go better, or where do you think they're going wrong?
So I think Volibear starting bot is not too bad a start here, because you do want to get that Olaf ahead. Taking advantage of the fact that he is in a tank matchup, Olaf will be able to use his axes to shred the Horn's armor and just get so far ahead in this lane that he'll become an absolute menace later on. So I think pathing up, making sure that Cinnabar, or I'm going to go with Cinnabar, is able to get ahead in this lane, I think is not a bad call at all.
Interestingly, the Anivia puts down a ward, a pretty late ward onto the chickens to make sure they can track the jungler. Jarvan, very, known to be a very early game focused champion, so tracking him early can be like quintessential into surviving the early game if you want to play for that late game style. As we see, both teams are running down to their respective lanes as the game is truly getting started in this laning phase.
Absolutely, and I think we're just looking now. You can see the Jarvan has skipped his Raptors and instead is opting for just a very quick level 3, the quickest in the game, where just taking out the 2 buffs and the Gromp will just get you the quickest level 3. But I think this is always a bit risky, just because if this gank does not work on the bot side, you suddenly have no camps in your area that you can farm. So it's very, very a risky play here, I think, for Dinnytown. But if it works, then I am obviously very wrong, and it doesn't even look like he's going to the level 3. He's just grabbing his 2 buffs and already heading to bot lane.
Yeah, interesting decision. Walks back when he sees a play, can't be there, but at this point, it seems pretty obvious you can't make the play. It's a Tristana. She's going to get a rocket jump in a second. Your lane is pushing in. And this is kind of what the Caitlyn Maokai lane wants to do. It's kind of, it kind of synergizes in a weird way, where Caitlyn can place traps in the bush and Maokai can place traps in the book. So if you walk in a bush unsuspected, you could get easily blown up for it. And because of that, they can have so much lane control. So much stuff in the bushes, so it's very hard to walk up and potentially play for anything. So they're definitely playing to their win con here, and it's good that they understand that.
Absolutely. You always need to play to where you think your strengths are. And like I said earlier, it really isn't this Caitlyn. However, I don't think this gank will work because that brush is warded. So a bit unfortunate here as Dinnytown. Again, like I said, if this gank doesn't work, he just has no camps to farm now, and that'll just allow Q Lane to really get well further ahead than this Jarvan on the Volibear.
Yeah, and because of how much damage that Caitlyn is dealing to this bot lane solo, she's allowing her Maokai to roam up with the Jarvan. They could be potentially looking for a level 3 play here. Anivia doesn't really have access to mobility tools without her flash, so they could try to blow it, or they're just trying to invade on these Raptors.
It looks like it is the invade play. I'm not entirely sure why. I was going to mention that earlier, but you were saying a different point, so I wanted to let you say it. But yeah. Volibear skipping Raptors on his full clear is so confusing to me because Volibear has many AoE tools to take out these Raptors in his E and in his passive. So I thought it would be very easy for him to take these Raptors on his full clear, but instead opting to skip them and instead going to his enemies' Krugs and perhaps picking up his Raptors as well.
Maybe the thought process behind that could be that, hey, I don't have enough time to take my chickens. I need to be up to my top lane, because if the Jarvan ganks my top laner, that could spell disaster for him and getting that early lead that Olaf really needs to, win this lane. So maybe he skipped the Raptor saying, I might not be able to make it there for a gank, but I can have enough time to get the counter gank, which is important. But Lucas and LaChacha are extremely low under their tower, and Dinnytown could be feasting here. But she's engaging, blames the sun, the flash from Chuchu Lane, the storm coming down, the shield is obtained, but will the kill follow suit? And it does. The first blood going over to the Volibear. But Dinnytown and the rest of the squad diving down, but Lucas is so aggressive. He knows he's getting the shield back up. He's autoing, is staying in the mini wave, but can he find the necessary kills? He is full HP, and they are all low. But Chuchu Lane is coming down onto Dinnytown, and the rest of the squad finds an auto. Lucas doesn't get the reset. Oh, he does! The jump back in just comes off of cooldown, and the net away. It all turns up great for the side of USF White.
Managed to see in top lane that there was a solo kill picked up here from Cinnabar, and he's able to take out the Ornn as well. So action all across the map here at Game 1. That's what we like to see, but it's 3 for 1 overall, and a gold lead going over to USF White.
Yeah, really great stuff coming out from the squad. We've seen them play before, and they're just, oftentimes we've seen from the regular season games is that the teams that play better in the early game 99% of the time win the late game. That might be a little bit different for pro play or your general solo queue matches where the tides can swing really a lot. But even in these best case scenarios where they can potentially drop a game, the teams that can win the early game better are way more consistent than the teams that play for late. So I think it's very good and very promising if you are a USF White fan.
Absolutely, and we are looking now to see what can DSG, sorry, I forgot the acronym there for a second. What can they do to really turn this around? Like I said, they really are going to have to invest their resources into this Caitlyn, make sure that she's able to turn the lane back into her favor. But we have some action here in top lane, but nothing going to come of it.
Yeah, they're trading back and forth, and Olaf, interesting pop in the goal thinks he has the kill, but we could potentially see a kill on the Seraphine. She's caught in a really bad spot. That wall just barely clipping her, not allowing her to walk around it in between the rock and the wall. So, really good mechanics coming out from Cheese with double threes.
Absolutely. I'm having a little bit of my mic.
Let's go. Okay, we got that proper mic. Here we go. Now they're pushing out the lane. Aristotle Loomis and Father Wangler doing a good job playing towards the win con of the bot lane despite the instability of the rest of the team. They do have a stable 25 CS advantage, but Seraphine under fire. Her 7 chakras could be potentially taken down. The ulti gets popped. The burn damage is a lot, but it's not enough. He gets out with his life, and now Cheese in a weird spot, but they are now looking to take the dragon. They are slain by Denny Town, but now
but he's trapped. He's trapped.
They find the Qs. Can they find the surge damage? Lucas jumping over the wall. He does have access to the ulti. Can he reset? He's jumping on 1. He's jumping on 2. Looking to jump on the final member from Father Wangler from the side of Deep Sea Gaming. The auto's coming out, but can he find the kill? Choo Lane on pursuit. The flash forward, but the response flash doesn't allow him to get another kill. And it's coming up huge, and he gets 1 kill on the board for himself.
It looked so bad there. Q Lane did not have flash, and he looked like he was trapped in the pit, but then all of a sudden they were able to turn it around. Sure, they don't manage to pick up that first Drake, but they completely turned the fight on its heels, picking up 2 kills here for the side of USF White, but what is
the double encore? Finds it on to 2, and it looks like that's going to be all she wrote for these 2 members. Of Cheese narrowly escapes with his life, still has access to the egg, wants to keep going in, but doesn't spot the Jarvan, the EQ for it to lock him up and prevent him from resurrecting. Beautiful stuff coming out, but the ace in the hole finds between the 2 members. They don't properly body block it, but Aristotle engaging, but Tristana doesn't have the W yet. She doesn't either buffer it, or, she's barely trying to make it out. A great ulti, though. Will these shots land? And the auto will seal the fate of Lucas, and they're clapping back in this early game.
It was 5-1 a minute ago. What the heck just happened? We see the long-range snipe from Caitlyn taking out the enemy jungler. Well played from the side of DSG. They are not going to go down without a fight.
But what is Cinnabar doing down here? The top laner was like, you know what? I've seen so much action down here. I want to be a part of it. It's kind of getting a snooze fest in top lane. But he is unfortunately wasting a ton of time. And they are actually rotating the Tristana up. But we see Jarvan engaging with a perfectly timed tornado. Will it allow LeChacha to live, though? She doesn't have access to the ace in the hole. The Q barely misses. And they're able to survive and get out of that scenario. But the Tristana is actually free-farming on the top side this entire time. They've done a really weird lane swap. How do you feel about this?
The biggest fan of it, not gonna lie. It's a little weird to send your Olaf down bot lane at 9 minutes, but I think what happened is he TP'd because he thought there was going to be more of a fight, and then it just so happened that, I might as well just pick up the CS while I'm here, send the Tristana in the top lane. So I don't think that was, on the game plan from the beginning, but I think that's just how it managed to work itself out. As we can see, Lucas is now running all the way back down.
Yeah, just a little bit of lane stop. Maybe, yeah, Cinnabar made the call. Yeah, I want to go down bot lane and try to make a fight. But luckily, they make it out with their lives despite the Jarvan gank. Diddy Town has been doing a good job at being everywhere on the map where fights have been happening, whether he's the one engaging or he is the one coming in for assist. Definitely showing a lot of presence the early game is quintessential if you're going to play some Jarvan. And the Rift Herald has spawned, but no team really deciding to put some resources to take it. How do you feel about this decision?
Like I said, I am a Belveth main, so Rift Herald is kind of, my whole purpose for playing this game, so I am not a fan of not seeing this Rift Herald go early, especially since it is an objective that I find is very easy to take on your own, especially with how tanky dragons are now. Early dragons are very difficult for, level 4, level 5 junglers to take on their own, but I think the Rift Herald, because its attacks are so slow and sometimes easy to dodge, that it is easy to take this objective, and finally we see someone on it, but with 11 minutes they'll only have 3 minutes to actually benefit from this Rift Herald.
Volibear, I don't think was spotted out by that, but we see a little bit of action in the mid lane. The Encore lands down, but Cheese and Seven Chakras both make it out with their own lives as Tristana. But the Maokai is walking up potentially to the mid lane, looking to maybe punish with the Jarvan. He is kind of hovering this area. And now, once they see this Rift Herald has been taken, that gives them the full reign to say, hey, we know the jungler's top side. We could potentially look on this mid or the bot side, but the EQ in. Cheese with a great flash, though. Dinnytown with the flashback forward, the Cataclysm, the Iron Spike Whip chains him down, and he takes another kill. Or his first kill of the game.
Absolutely, and that evens up the kills and actually puts DSF in front. What looked like almost a doomed game, down 5-1, has completely turned on its heels after just one fight. So well done to DSF. They're now find themselves with the gold lead.
And they also find themselves with the Dragon advantage, and as that is going to be spawning within the next minute, that's really what we want to look. But interesting, they gave Cinnabar the Rift Herald. Maybe they want to funnel more resources into this Olaf that's already one-kill Olaf, only down 10 CS to his lane opponent. They might think that that's the key, and so they give it over to him to let him do it to his vices. I think it's a great idea, especially with the Dragon spawning, but Choo Lane might be in a bad spot here. Dinnytown misses. The ace in the hole popped a little bit early, though.
Absolutely, we now are seeing people around this objective. We're not done. There's the flash.
Aristotle flashes in, pops the ulti, and locks up the Janna. The fight is over before it even started, and they allow themselves to alleviate this pressure off this dragon, and they're able to be a lot more confident taking it with the member advantage. Choo Lane and Cheese want to get in there. They do have a lot of AoE effects. The Volibear, the Anivia, I haven't seen this champion in 40 billion years, so I forgot her name, but the Anivia can provide that, but they're just zoning them out so well with these Maokai traps, these Caitlyn traps, the Seraphine. So hard to get in the pit, and they opt to walk away and cut their losses.
That's now 5 unanswered kills for Deep Sea Gaming, and they're not done.
Yeah, it looks like Cheese will be able to get taken down here, but LaChacha has the shield. He's in here for backup. Fending off 7 Chakras from his mid laner with a flash ult from Choo Lane, but the Q hits onto the tower, so he can't lock up the Seraphine, and now he's in a bad spot, and the enemy jungle could get caught out by Dinnytown if Dinnytown keeps going in pursuit. He wants to look to catch him out, but does he know that he's there? It looks like the answer is no.
Oh, that is so heartbreaking here for Choo Lane, as it looks like he maybe had attack move on, or something like that, or just misclicked on the tower, and was not able to get the stun onto a 7 Chakras, who I think had to flash away from the Volibears. So that is definitely heartbreaking here for the jungler. I think he could have picked up that kill without that misclick.
But Cinnabar and Polite Human, Polite Hitman, actually. Polite Hitman. That's actually a really cool username. But besides the point, I think it's been a very snooze-festy thing in the top lane, which actually benefits the Ornn a lot. We talk about Ornn scaling constantly throughout my commentary and throughout the games that you see. But he is having a 10 CS lead in a matchup that he should be losing. I mean, he's down a kill, but that's not really due to his fault. So I think that I feel like at Deep Sea Gaming, it feels very comfortable just playing for this late game. They have a Seraphine and they have an Ornn. Caitlyn scales pretty well. Their team comp has great team fighting. So I think if you're Deep Sea Gaming, you're completely content to just say, hey, let's just wait it out.
And another thing I do want to mention, another reason why I think taking a late Rift Herald is not good. Cinnabar still has it in his inventory. It is past 14 minutes. Plates have dropped. You're not getting as efficient of a Rift take as you possibly could have. So I think maybe putting more of a priority onto those early objectives would have been a bit smarter from both of these teams. But Cinnabar will still be able to hopefully drop it. But we have some action now.
In the top side and in the mid lane. Oh, but Seraphine, the ace in the hole, the flash from LaChacha misses barely. It finds its way through that Janna. Somehow, it did not look like it was going. It did not look like it was going to hit Anivia through my perspective on the screen, but barely threaded the needle. Good stuff coming out from Father Wengler.
That is, I've said already. There's been a lot of heartbreaking things this episode, like a misclick or anything like that. But that may have been the most unfortunate accident to happen here, as LaChacha uses the flash to try and save his mid laner, but is unable to do so. That is very rough. This Rift Herald is finally dropped in the top lane. Cinnabar will be able to hopefully get that down, but we also have some action going on at both ends of the Rift.
Yeah, it looks like they want to engage for this. The Janna Tornado does land onto one, but Choo Lane in a bad spot, forced to ulti out. Trying to pop the Blast Cone is LaChacha, but they just walk out of that situation. And it's unlike to see 16 minutes in the game, one team already taking command commanding lead over the other team's bottom side jungle. But Aerosol might be in a little bit of trouble, just ends up walking out with his life.
Yes, unfortunately, that is just a very, very rough situation here for USF White, as they are not winning in any lane anymore. We can see, like we mentioned, we did want to see that those resources put onto the Caitlyn. 4-0 right now on this Caitlyn, as the Gale Force is building, has already built the Zeal, so we already know what she's building towards next, but like, this is very, very difficult situation, and now she's even in mid lane to pick up even more farm. A lot of resources being invested into the Caitlyn. She will be the main carry for this team.
And, you know, the Gale Force is, you know, some would argue is the best thing for Caitlyn. But what do you get second? What do you get third? It's a little bit hard to think about it here because you need to be that primary damage dealer. So you need a lot of this damage early. But at the same time, Choo Lane, Cinnabar, they do have a couple tanky members that, as the game goes on, it could be a little bit rough, but Cheese might be looking to catch out Fort Wrangler. He does jump over the wall with the net. The ace in the hole firing out barely lands onto Cheese. Aerosol Loomis might be in a bad spot here, caught up by all the abilities necessary, and the Tristana Bomb will be the final killing blow. She does have the reset. Can she stop some of the members? 7 Chakra onto the backside, wants to help out some of their members. The Encore lands onto 2. Can they get the damage to kill them? Yes, they do. And Father Wrangler is looking to play this as aggressively as possible. Doesn't have access to Gale Force, but does Q. Lands onto 2, the flash forward, lands the auto onto Cheese. He's resurrecting. The trap does go down. He wants to find the headshot, and 7 Chakras will pick up the kill, and the dragon is spawning within the next minute.
It was possible to headshot an egg. That is very well done from the Caitlyn, getting that trap, getting the extra damage, but it seems as though like her ults have been very on point, being able to weave it in and out of these members, and it seems she seems to hit her target every single time, so well done to Caitlyn getting that damage off.
And that's definitely going to cause a lot of mental damage because the ace in the hole, of course, Caitlyn's the one that activates it, but it's really up to the other team's ability to, like, body block and coordinate properly. And now that this is the second time that it has gone on the target that you don't want, the first time resulting in a kill. Actually, this is the third time. There was one time in the Dragon fight, second time in the lane. But now, Polite, Hitman, and Cinnabar kind of duking it out in the top lane. But they don't really have lethal kill pressure.
Absolutely, and we can see now on Soul Point, and they tried to trade with the Rift Herald, but there's a fight going on now.
It does get picked up by Choo Lane, trying to walk out of that situation. The Ornhorn lands onto 2, the Encore onto 1. This is a chaotic fight. I don't know how it's going to end up, but Father Wrangler is that consistent member that deals the damage and lands those combos, and Lucas and his Janna are on the run. The ace in the hole, the cherry on top. It doesn't even land. They don't get the Rift Herald, but they get the team.
You gotta love the Jarvan, the EQ flash combo, and you definitely feel like a high elo star when you land that perfectly, as Town just did, getting the knock up and securing those final kills here for the side of DSG. What looked like such a lost game in the first few minutes has completely turned around. It's now, since it was 5-1 earlier, they have now gotten 12 kills to USF White's 1, so definitely are the favorites right now, and it's really their game to lose at this point.
Yeah, and the Baron is spawning within the next 20 seconds. You know, is that kind of thing if you want to end the game early, but it feels really great when you're the scaling sort of team, the quote-unquote team that wants to scale and scale up, and you are winning the early game. It puts you in a really comfortable spot where you don't need to push the game any further, because the longer it goes on, you're going to win more, even if you don't get the advantage on the kills. So at this point, I feel like they just need to keep calm. That's all they gotta do. That's how they close out this first game, is just to stay calm, and the ace in the hole for a little bit of poke damage, because cooldown's pretty low.
Yeah, if that would have killed the Tristana, I would have said, well, that's just not fair. So just going for a bit of poke damage here. But Polite Hitman might get collapsed on, but instead just Q2 Lane just opting to drop the Rift Herald, hopefully getting some of those objective bounties back.
Yeah, but the Ornhorn coming down, he doesn't have the egg, so he can't stall for time. This damage is actually so much despite being known as a tank, but as you say, Hyper Sloth, he is that tank assassin mage. What else is?
The tank assassin, fighter, bruiser, whatever you want to call him.
Mage,
He
enchanter,
is everything.
marksman. He is literally everything in this game, and it looks like he's not going to be needed to maybe pick up a cool Choo lane, but maybe they bit off more than he could chew. It is a 3v2, but Father Wrangler, the father of this team, looking to deal that damage with the headshots, but they back out once they see the Caitlyn, that looming threat. finally show up to the team fight.
5-0, and for the rapid fire cannon finally completed. This is a very, very dangerous Caitlyn. You do not want to be in the same vicinity as her at any point, so I think opting to run away there is perhaps a good call here from the side of USF White.
But Cinnabar forcing out of the flash of 7 chakras because she is immobile. That might be something if they want to look for the play. But now Cheese onto Flight Hitman is dealing a lot of damage and he's taking up the tower shots. But now Cinnabar on 7 chakras with the help of Choo Choo Lane. They're able to find a pick and a shutdown onto that top lane that they invested so much resources into, especially that Rift Herald. But Father Wrangler looks to want to cut off with the rest of his team this Volibear and this Olaf. But can the recalls come out in time? It looks like that will be the case for the Olaf and the Volibear, but they are taking the jungle in the response.
Yeah, so they are able to get an important pick. I don't recall if there was a... yes, there was actually a bounty on the Seraphine at 500 gold, so I think putting that onto the Olaf is definitely a win in favor of USF White, just funneling more gold into someone who actually does have the opportunity to get onto that Caitlyn and perhaps be able to burst her down. So I think that is very well played here from USF White.
And now that Deep Sea Gaming, they have 2 TPs compared to the 1 TP, which can be pretty crucial coming into this big neutral objective like Baron. They can send the Ornn bot lane comfortably with the TP, or they can send Seraphine. They will most likely just send Ornn, but looks like they're rotating members up. Maybe they want to look on a pick on this Tristana.
Absolutely. I think also just getting any picks onto main carries is very, very important. But Tristana able to safely walk away, pushes up the lane, just makes sure that she is able to collect the resources without costing her life. So well played to her.
And it's actually so point. Despite it being 23 minutes in the game, this might just be the Cloud Soul coming out here. But Dinny Town looking to want to catch out Cheese before the fight even starts. The Cataclysm down, the ace in the hole, all the ultis and abilities used. But even though it's a little bit unnecessary, it gets the job done, and they take out Anivia and her egg to boot.
She's dropping for the 7th time this game. This has definitely been a rough one for the USF White mid laner, as it's just getting bullied over and over again. But with all these members showing up bot, it almost looked like they were actually going to try and contest this Baron, but instead opt to just run away.
They quickly recognize that they can't really go for that because they just simply don't have the damage. They're a little bit too far behind to make it happen. But it's Blind Hitman and Aerosol Loomis on this. Dinnytown's not even showing up to get the Smite. I don't think they're going to go for the steal, though. I think they think this soul is good as taken. But they're starting to walk through the jungle on the spot plays, the 7 chakras, and the CC Moon Olaf is duking it out here. Can Cinnabar make it out alive? I don't think that will be the case, but Choo Choo Lane in a bad spot. The flash forced out, but the ulti coming out to try to escape with the Ornn Horn. They're layering so much incredible amounts of CC that he can't hope to escape at all.
You see, the engage is just so many options. Sure, the Maokai failed, and then the Jarvan could follow up, and then the Ornn could follow up, but there's just, you have one ultimate on Choo Choo Lane to make yourself unstoppable. That negated Maokai, but then you have to deal with the follow-up then too, so well played, layering that engage on top of each other.
These are the craziest Caitlyn ults, because even though it didn't really matter there in that play, literally these ults have been curving around so many members and just instantly hitting Cheese. I don't know. I'm not calling aimbot here, but it's certainly looking like that.
Yes, looks like Caitlyn is really well coerced and weaving those ultimates in around each other, so I am just assuming that is just very, very lucky and or skill from her. That's what we're going with.
I think we're going to go with skill. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. She knew they were going to move that in that exact position, exact way to allow her to get that ulti onto Cheese at every single team fight. But they're clearing out the vision on the top side, and they're sending multiple members. The Seraphine will be the last to follow, but this is potentially Baron play. They have the soul. They're looking to get more out of it and end this game as soon as possible, and Father and his squad is starting to take up this Baron. They got the traps to zone out. I don't know. It looks like USF White are just giving up this Baron, trying to bide their time. They know they can't contest it.
Yes. When the bleeding starts, it is very, very hard to stop, and this is a perfect example of why. It just seems like there's nothing that the side of USF White can do to really stop the siege power of this Caitlyn comp. 6-0-5, 700 gold bounty, an upgraded Gale Force, which I believe is called a Typhoon, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh wait, yeah, it's called Typhoon. I think you're right. Let's
Look
go!
I know my Ornn items.
Let's go, Hyperslot.
I actually have no idea what the heck a Gore Drinker upgrade is, but that is the other upgrade happening over here for
Isn't
this
it like
side.
Syzygy or whatever? No, it's Ceaseless.
Oh wait, let me take a quick. It's called the Ceaseless Hunger.
Nice.
So we have a Ceaseless Hunger for Jarvan already put through here from Polite Hitman, and already an inhibitor taken out at 26 minutes. This looks to be a very quick game.
Yeah, they use the Maokai, but the TP from behind can potentially find an angle. The Olaf, the Cataclysm actually locks up the members of this red team, and it is pure chaos coming out of this fight. But Choo Lane trying to take out Aristotle. The reset from Lucas. Can this be the fight to turn around the entire game? They have everything. They have the Soul, they have the Baron, but they somehow can't find the win in the base. It looks like Choo Lane and USF Fight can maybe turn this around, but he is stalling for time. But can he make it out in time? No, he will not. It's 7 chakras, and Dini Town walk out, but overall it is a 3-for-1. Definitely looking up if you are a USF White fan.
Yes, but unfortunately, Cheese dies yet again. It seems like Ornn managed to snag a kill about 30 seconds after he died. I think with the... I believe he's running Unsealed Spellbook, so I think had the Ignite onto Cheese at that point, but I might be wrong in that regard, but... It may have also just been baroned up minions as well, but Cheese falling for an 8th time. But overall, 4-1-1 on Cinnabar on this Olaf. Really looking to be the main carry here and try to turn this game around for USF White.
And the TP behind was so interesting, because usually you see like TP in the 4 enemy teams, spam the missing ping, what is this guy doing? But he was just doing like so much work at the, in that fight. It was actually Dini Town that locked up a ton of his members of the Cataclysm, but we see another fight break out, but this Olaf is CC immune. He's getting out with his life, guaranteed.
Yeah, very hard without the Jarvan to lock up that Olaf, as he is able to just kind of walk away whenever he feels like it. So, you know, getting that ultimate out of Cinnabar definitely worthwhile, as now a significant amount of power has dropped, and he will opt in to just leave and let Cheese farm up this way.
I love how they're playing textbook League of Legends. We have 4 members on the top side, 1 member with TP on the bot side, in Polite Hitman, hitting up those towers, wants to take them out, but the pressure. Caitlyn has so much siege with these traps and with her long auto range that's really hard to deal with. You have to kind of force the engage, but it's so hard to engage into something like a Maokai and a Seraphine, especially when you don't have access to some of these summoner spells. But jeez, this is not his game, taking up so much poke here in this top side.
Are you telling me that traditional League of Legends is not just A-ramming down mid whenever you feel like it?
Oh, but, you know, we'll get into that conversation a bit later, but the 1v4 engagement looks sort of suicidal from Choo Lane. He's taking up so much damage, looks to get finished off by this Seraphine, and the TP's coming in. The assistance is coming out from Ornn, but the CC immune Olaf is putting in so much work. He finds 1, he finds 2, can he find the 3? The team has to retreat and help him, and you said this carry before could be the carry to save the game, and he's coming back to pick up the quadra kill and claim what is his, but Lucas looking on Aristotle, he finds the auto and the kill, play him in now on the run, and is a disaster for Deep Blue Gaming.
There he goes, 7-1-1. Olaf is the carry of this team, picking up all of these kills. He will be dangerous now, and Polite Hitman trying to escape.
I don't think he's going to make it out here, though. I mean, Olaf has the flank, but they're just taking the wards. They don't think they have the ability to, and they don't.
Elder Dragon spawning in about 10 seconds.
Oh, Lord, and they have
the juggler is still dead for another 5. Will they be able to take it in time?
I think they might be able to. They have a lot of damage. Tristana with Kraken Slayer PD and this part of this LDR, they can do so much damage here. They don't have access to any TPs to at least stall this fight, but we do have 7 Chakras coming in, wants to stall it out for his team, but the Inhibi Wall is zoning them out. I don't think they can get in this pit, and they find the Elder Dragon when it's so far behind, but do they want to look to engage the Axe lane? But Cinnabar is caught in a really weird spot. He's CC immune, but will that allow him to escape? The answer is yes, and they make this out with robbery of the Elder Dragon.
This is huge. They might actually have a shot of turning this game around. We're gonna have to see. They have to utilize this Elder to the fullest potential, and if they want to way back into this game.
Yeah, they're doing everything they need. They shrunk the gold lead from, I think it was around 8,000 to now only 3,000. And the Baron is spawning within the next little bit. And if you are 7 Chakras and Deep Blue Gaming, it's going to be very hard to, you know, decide, hey, can we fight on this Baron? I mean, we're ahead, we have Soul, but they have Elder, and maybe we can steal it. The game becomes infinitely more complex once an Elder is thrown in there, because sometimes when especially when the losing team gets the Elder, because then do you still win or not? But it looks like they think they do, and they engage onto 2. They're doing so much damage to Cheese, but Aristotle Loomis, they don't get the initial engage in the fight. The members are also healthy. LaChacha keeping them alive, but they want to re-engage. It is 2v3, but Dinny Town is coming out. He wants to try to help his members. Locks up the Olaf. EQ's out. Disengages, but Father Wangler is doing so much damage to Cinnabar. The primary carry is taken very low, and overall a chaotic fight, but a fight that will not spill blood just yet.
Bold to fight against an Elder. Well done for the side of DSG, as they are able to not only not lose the fight, but actually seem to win it as they chunk out Cinnabar, and they just have to back off. No kills though, so no gold exchanging any hands this time around.
And that is definitely a fat dub if you are not USF fight. If you are, oh my god, I've said it a billion times. Deep Blue Gaming, pretty sure.
Deep Sea Gaming.
Deep Sea Gaming. Okay, Deep Sea Gaming. There's definitely a fat dub of your Deep Sea Gaming because it lowers the Elder time and stalls out the Baron, but it looks like that Baron's not going to be stalled out any longer. But they don't have vision here. They have no idea this is happening, and the burst damage is so crazy. They have the Tristana for the objective taken, and this Elder Baron is also helping out, and they get in, get out with this Baron, and now they can hope to stall the game even further.
This is the danger of having those 1 damage comps. If Caitlyn is not able to bring out that damage for the side of Deep Sea Gaming, they just won't have the damage to take out anyone on the enemy team. So I think this actually might turn in a direction that is very bad for Deep Sea Gaming Blue, and we will see how they respond to this.
I think the Elder is actually finally worn off, so that fighting power is not added, so you can definitely argue that it is still Polite Hitman and Deep Sea Gaming with the advantage in terms of the team fighting, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that way for long, especially since how the last fights have gone in the favor. But they look to engage, they pop both their engaging ults, they try to lock them up, but both ults used them, they don't really get too many thing out of it, they don't really lock up any of the primary carries, and now Lucas is doing so much damage with this LDR and this PD. He is shredding Polite Hitman, but Cinnabar is on the backside. He's running in 1v5, but 1v5 will not matter, but he gets selected by the Cataclysm. The Jarvan forced to flash out. They prevent the initial engagement Cinnabar, so he's not able to deal that damage on the backline as much as he would hope for. The ace in the hole trying to chunk him out with the more CC, but both teams taken very low, but none taken out just yet. The Anivia trying to zone out with this wall and with these ultis, but it doesn't seem like either team will find the kill. These fights have been at a razor edge, but nothing has really come of it.
Still no deaths in like the last 2 team fights, as both teams are just chunked insanely low. Finally, an inhibitor falls, so at least something gets destroyed, because I want to see some action, but it doesn't look like we're getting it right now.
There's a lot of action, but not a lot of
I want to see some
action.
bloodshed. I should have said that.
I want to see some bloodshed, and I definitely want to too, but I don't know who I want to name the favor in. At this point, we got the underdogs, but we also got Deep Sea Gaming looking to maybe shut the door, and I think the Deep Sea Gaming definitely need to make an adjustment in terms of, hey, we can't just pop our engage ultis at the start of the fight, because they can just, walk away, and it gets really rough if you don't have those.
Yes, we will have that next Elder Dragon spawning in about 90 seconds, so I think that'll just be the deciding factor of this game. If QQ Lane or Dini Town are able to take that dragon for their team, I just think this will turn into direction in their favor, and we will see. But she's caught out yet again.
Yeah, he's force popping the egg, but the TP's come out. They want to look to push this even further. Force to buffer the jump out, and Lucas is under a lot of fire, and now he's in a horrible spot. Doesn't have the flash and gets shut down by this Seraphine, and they find 2 kills in the mid lane, and they look to end the game. They don't care about no Elder. They want to take the Nexus. Oh, and the Ornhorn coming out.
So that is the saving grace. If they can keep these Baron dump minions, they might be able to hold on for a bit longer.
But they have such immaculate siege. I don't know if they can stall this out, but Cinnabar, if there's anyone to do it, it is definitely him. The Cataclysm to start out the fight is so early, and it does allow him to get zoned out by the rest of the members, and Choo-Choo Lane in a desperate attempt to keep his team alive only delays the inevitable. And they're pushing down this mid lane and look to take this game 1 of the playoffs. Cinnabar, the last man standing, the last carry on that side of USF White, is not going to do nothing in the face of 5 members of Deep Sea Gaming.
Cinnabar goes down, and DFG, will take this game.
It's such a great comeback. Not such a great comeback because USF White had a commanding early game, at least at the very start, but they kept consistently winning those team fights, allowing them to to get the lead, further extend it, take such an early soul, which you don't see coming out of these games a lot, and close the door pretty early. You know, Cheese, Choo Choo Lane, Cinnabar, they put up a great fight, definitely played the fights well, but it was that Jarvan pick that really stopped Cinnabar from making any plays.
It really was. You could see, like I said, it really did rely on Dinnytown actually using his Cataclysm efficiently. You could see he dove in with the Cataclysm and then immediately, almost every time, would EQ out. Even though he was CC immune, Cinnabar did not run Flash, so there was absolutely no way he could get out of the Cataclysm. So really well done, well played by Dinnytown. I honestly think if we do have to talk about MVPs or anything like that, I would actually give my vote over to him.
I would probably give my vote. I would probably give my vote to DNA Town as well, but we can talk more about that when we throw it over the analyst desk in just a second.
Oh my god. We're here at the analyst desk. Who would have thought? Okay, so let's start with that game because I just thought that USF had such a good chance to get back in the game. Like I hopped in and I was really focused and started watching when we saw USF kind of get to the point where they were about to lose the game. It's like 9 kills to 17, and then all of a sudden they find a way to flip the game on its head. They win a team fight. They go through and they take the Elder. They take the Baron, but they really failed to capitalize on it. Either they were missing their waves being shoved up, or they were too scared to try and engage in team fights without all 5 of them to take the opportunity to lock down. It was kind of a shame to see them not take advantage of that, because I think the game at least could have gone on for a little bit longer. But what I thought was really interesting is USF, which seemed like they were coming back in with a chance to win the game, had a comp that felt like it directly contrasted what we saw on the side of Deep Sea Gaming. I mean, Sloth, after that game kind of started rolling out, what did you see that happened between these two comps? We mentioned it in draft what their identities kind of were, but how did they end up merging in that final product of a game?
I think, like we said at the beginning, a lot of these resources did have to go onto the Caitlyn, and they did. You could see Dinnytown, he was camping them, rotated out of them early, just making sure that this gold would end up onto the Caitlyn, and I think that they executed that very efficiently. I think on the side of USF White, they had many other options for who could carry. Olaf could carry if they needed to. Anivia was also a good source of damage. Tristana would have popped off. So I think they had a lot more options. So I think that gave Q Lane like a bit more freedom to perhaps pick who he wanted to put ahead. But I think when you have these 1 damage comps, it becomes very, very dangerous, because then that could allow the enemy jungler or Volibear Kuchu Lane to really camp out this Caitlyn, because you know that's where Jarvan is going. And if you guys feel like you can win that 3v3, then just camp bot lane as well, and they will never get ahead. So I think a bit of a misexecution here from USF White, but very well executed by Deep Sea Gaming.
Slutty, anything to add to that?
I just think that 1 damage comps are an interesting idea. We've seen it done in pro play with something with a different 80 carries, but I think if you want to do a 1 damage comp and you have an 80 carries or 1 damage, you never pick Caitlyn. She's really weak in the mid game, can be okay in the late game, but she is definitely not that big damage that you would want to hope if you're dedicating so much resources into her. So I think the adjustment they need to make, if they still want to run this style, is to either A, get another damage dealer on the board, maybe something in the mid lane rather than that Seraphine, maybe something in the jungle, or you go with a late game, like an extreme late game hyperscale with like a Kog'Maw with a Lulu, or like a Jinx, something like that. That's what I would at least do if I wanted to switch up the draft.
Yeah, look, I think that what we saw from Deep Sea, from USF, was that because USF are the ones who brought the Olaf almost came back, correct?
Yes, that was USF.
Yeah. So their comp felt like it was very centered around not getting caught in exactly what Deep Sea was trying to pull out, right? They had the Anivia Wall, they had the Janna Tornado, they had the Olaf Ragnarok to escape all the sea. So much of their composition felt like it was based around getting out and then coming back in once all the CC came through. And unfortunately, with Caitlyn being that one damage source, if they had another one, then I feel like USF's would be a little bit weaker. But I think USF's comp actually matched up really well. They just didn't manage to use their strength correctly. And I kind of touched on it. They felt like they needed to take their lead better. But Slatty, you said the one damage composition needed to be improved upon, but they still won in the end, Deep Sea. So what can USF do to win next time? What do you think they need to come through, bring through? What kind of magic do they have to pull to be able to win the next game?
It's gonna be hard to think about because I don't think they did too much wrong, except they just kept fighting. Like they would keep fighting, and both teams. I think genuinely, I think USS comp in the early game was a lot more equipped for an early game fight. I just think overall they started playing the fight sloppier and kept losing out. So I don't think it's really necessarily a problem with the draft. I just think they need to rally around and especially with I think it was pretty apparent by the fact that these ace in the holes from Caitlyn that shouldn't have been anywhere near the back line was completely hitting them every single time. And so I think it's a lack of coordination rather than a lack of ability to draft.
Sloth, anything else? Do you think that's about it too?
I think that definitely has some weight because obviously when you run these kind of one damage comps, I do have to acknowledge Seraphine actually did do a decent chunk of magic damage as well. Not as much as the Caitlyn, still about 10,000 damage short. But when you are running this comp that is very clearly what your damage is, it needs to be executed perfectly. And that's why I am generally not a fan of these kind of comps because, like I said, as a jungler, I see 3 tanks. First of all, I would probably lock in Trundle, but also I would probably look to where this main carry is, and it is in the Caitlyn. If you could prevent her from getting ahead, Ornn, Jarvan 4, and Maokai will not be able to output the amount of damage that is equal to Olaf, Volibear, and like a Tristana, which was what you would have faced, right? So I think when you make these one damage comps, there is that inherent risk about it. So I think having that's usually what you would put your mid lane onto, but putting them onto more of a supportive Seraphine role is a bit risky, but it in this context, they executed well, and that's why they came out with the win.
Well, we now know how each team executed, what they need to improve on, and we will be preparing our draft, brewing it up before we present it to the audience. So for now, we are going to jump to a quick breather, give our casters a chance to drink their own brews, maybe some water, some tea, whatever gets it going.
I have apple juice, but I'm all out of apple juice right now.
All out apple juice. I got my water, man. You need water.
I got my grape juice.
Grape juice. Certainly a unique choice.
It's the only thing left in the fridge, dog. Okay, I'm sorry.
I've never bought grape juice before, bro.
I have never bought grape juice in my life.
It's really good. Trust me.
Well, what does it taste like?
It tastes like if you put grapes and made it a juice. It's like a very thick.
That just blew my mind. I would not have predicted that.
Oh my god!
What else do you want me to say? Like
they call it the
analyst
test for a reason, bro.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you. I will go buy some grape juice in just a moment today. But for now, yes, we do need to jump to a quick break, so we're going to do that now. We'll see you guys in just a moment for our next draft. Back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 350 on the other side, but I can't clutch to it, and I can't clutch to it. But Boxer Pro in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to escape with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal up, and the call comes back in the circuit, but finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage retrieval back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali.
extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the lead, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo Boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9 KHP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes too strong, but this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Good Death trying to stall time for his AD carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series, it seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo Boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up,
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v2 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice 200 teeth with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal him, and they call comes back in the circuit, but finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage retrieval back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still
find
performing
Akali.
extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the lead, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
overall.
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the Big Bongo boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters, and then we moved back into the game, where Baron and Soulpoint were both hit here by CLB.
Towards this dragon, we do have good depth running up from base. Let's see if we can get here in time.
And this dragon is down to 9 KHP. They opt to pull it out, so the potential steal is has a lot less potential to happen. The Maokai ulti for the engage. They want to make this happen. The Wombo combo, but the bullet time is just barely out of range, but it's not going to matter in the end. The Deathball comes through strong, but this Twitch is free firing in the backline. Field Death trying to stall time for his AD carry, but in a 1v4, when you're already routed and they're already on top of you, they make it look easy.
With CLB taking a massive victory in the second game and this series. It seemed like the casters had gone to Hogwarts, because every single time they were casting and made predictions, they just put a caster curse down on poor Big Bongo boys.
The series is taken by Clarity Black.
And that was Risen Unstoppable for the night. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Risen recap. Today we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up, come on.
Finally, alright, game one, over. We finally saw Deep Sea Gaming manage to take their first victory, and then just following it up, we still have game 2 and potentially game 3 to go. Now don't forget, our team that unfortunately did lose the first game is actually the team in the lead with their points. They are 4-1 overall, while Deep Sea Gaming are 3-2. So, both of them battling for a really nice top spot or a strong spot here on the ladder. Again, still joined by Sloth and Slatty. And look, Sloth, we briefly covered it, but is it a bit of an identity crisis? What's up? What was wrong with Mousetrap, bro? I felt like they came.
Oh, we're back on this. Okay. I don't know. I picked it a while ago because I thought, I don't know, it sounded awesome at the time, and the whole purpose behind it, there's a bit of a story. I won't go into it now, but because I am German, I spelt it with MAUS and then trap, just because Mousetrap made sense. But then that just ran into the problem where everyone thought I was like associated with Deadmau5 or something like that. So
yeah,
I didn't like that, and I did a bit of digging online. There's literally, his record label is called Mousetrap, spelt the exact same way, and I felt like I was ripping him off, and I felt it was a combination of things. It didn't really fit me. I just picked it because I thought it was cool. But Hyper Sloth, I think, fits me a lot better because I am quite literally hyperactive, and I am a sloth at the same time. So
there you go.
I think it fits me a lot better. I've looked, there aren't any record labels called Hyper Sloth. There are a few websites named after it, but I'm not concerned about that. So I think we're all good this time around.
Branding free, there we go. You kind of get your own unique name out there. Finally, once you establish yourself as the next Worlds caster and see 100 Thieves actually win a game, then
we are going there. Okay. Hey, what are you laughing about, EG?
EG got a game. We'll take it. You know?
Yeah, we still have 3 games. You don't have another one, so step up.
Right.
We're not talking about that right now.
The two zeros and 100, you know, they stand for 0 and 6. So you know.
Wait, but it's crazy. Gen G and Flying Oyster are going to make it out of the group anyway. You're not going to win a single game.
That would be immaculate.
If
I hate NA now. I want NA to fall and lose every game.
I will wear my duck onesie to the next stream if Flying Oysters makes it out of groups, okay?
Flying Oyster, I swear Flying Oyster make it out of groups, bro. I'm saying it right now. Greatest team to ever bless the stage of Worlds.
We'll see. I guess we will see, won't we?
Something else we have to see is the draft.
Boys, we do have to see the draft.
Hopefully it's setting up, it's loading in. Just while we're making sure for everything to kick off, you let everyone know it's ready. Slatty, what do you want to see this time? We saw a 1 damage kind of engage comp, and then we saw a disengage comp that wanted to run back in. Is there anything else we need to see? Kind of like another damage source, maybe?
That's a hard question because it depends on like the preference of the team. But I think the improvement is, I think either one is perfectly acceptable if you're confident. I do think though, if you run a Seraphine, a Maokai, a Jarvan, and then like an Enchanter and like a fucking Kog'Maw, or like a really high damage 80 carry, you can deal so much damage, and it's so reliable and so consistent. It's something you can really rally a team around. Maybe even a Vayne. I don't know, depending on how much they pick tank, but kind of what I would like to see coming out of Deep Sea Gaming's draft.
All
Well,
right.
We're about to find out. Let's jump into draft. No wasting any more time. Good luck, guys. I'll see you on the other side.
We'll see you on the other side. Quick send. We have hopped into draft here. We have the first couple bands out already. We have Zillion, same as last time, first band away from USF, and DSG on the other side, banning the Mordekaiser just like last time as well. So no changes so far, but what kind of changes, you Slatty, are you looking for out of this draft? Are you looking for anything different in the bands, or looking for something similar and just looking to draft a different comp?
I think if you are USF, I think you want to negate something like this. The Seraphine, you want to negate the Maokai, you want to negate you want to make it so Deep Sea Gaming, I think it's especially when you don't know what you want to do with the enemy's draft, just make them not play what they played last game if it worked so well for them. And so I think banning the Maokai is a great idea. Keeping the Zillion ban can definitely prevent that we all feed into this 180 carry that will instantly win us this game type of comp. So I think they're making the right steps, at least with this first and second ban.
Absolutely, and we can already see the Vigar being taken out. It is Jesus' most comfortable champion, like we mentioned, over 100 games on it, and it is his most played by far. But all in all, they changed the order a little bit, but the same 3 bands coming out from DSG, and instead completely new bands as Misfortune, and I believe last time they left, they banned Nocturne as well. So both of those champions on the board here, and instead of taking that Misfortune, they instead opt in for a Mumu. So a bit of a curious pick. I would have thought there would be more priority on the Misfortune, but a Mumu picked up instead.
Yeah, they definitely communicates that they want to swap their styles. They had a Janna last game, looking to play a Mumu this game. Can be paired with something like a Kai'Sa or Tristana, which Tristana they played last time, so they could potentially go that avenue. But the Seraphine, now picked up from DSG, they want to looking like they want to emulate the same style they did last game on what was successful.
Absolutely, Seraphine is definitely one of those champions that can accent the team fight so much better with her Encore. I think it is a very good pickup here, and they are actually might be stealing the Tristana here. Is it Tristana Seraphine lane that you like to see, because you are a Tristana fan, as previously mentioned?
I think it has a lot of all-in potential. I think it's like a weird synergy. Both the champions kind of live together in this area, and then they're like, okay, we've helped each other a teensy bit, and then now we can branch off and be a part of the team as a whole. I think together in a 5v5 team fight, they're really great together because they cover different areas. Tristana provides that raw damage. She doesn't really need too much peel, despite Seraphine not really being a peel enchanter. So it allows her to have more of that I can pick a Healy style. So past late game and in level 6, I think it's really good, but those early levels could spell trouble.
Absolutely, and we do have to keep in mind that Seraphine can be flexed to the mid lane as it was last game as well, so we always have to keep that in mind. It's not necessarily going to be a Tristana Seraphine lock-in here. However, on the other side, USF going in a completely different direction, opting in for the Kindred and the Ashe, so 280 carries now picked up for USF White to go alongside that Amumu.
Ashe is one of those champions where conceptually, like, this 80 carry has things other 80 carries don't. They have engage with, and they got cross map ability. They have great vision control with the E. But when you actually play Ashe in a game, she feels so incredibly bad to play. She does no damage. She has 0 mobility. It's super hard to play, and something like a Blitzcrank can punish you super hard in the lane if you were wanting to play aggressively. So even though Amumu and Ashe can be pretty strong laners, a Bandage Toss followed up by a couple of slow autos, but like the Blitzcrank, you know, really, they swapped it up. Seraphine's going mid, and Tristana Blitzcrank is super broken. I used to play this all the time with my friend a long time ago. It is such an amazing lane, especially if he can, you know, rocket grab that that Ashe out of the bot lane.
Absolutely, and we can see some more bans from the last game coming through as Olaf is taking out for Cinnabar and Ornn taking out for Polite Hitman, and they are going to opt in to keep 2 of the same bans as last time in the set and the Nocturne. So obviously we are looking for a bit of a mix-up here. 2 top laners taken out by DSG. What are you looking for in these final 4 picks?
For Deep Sea Gaming, I would want them to just round it out with a tank top lane or a tank jungler, and then like with some engage. That's all I would want from their team comp, nothing more. But USF White,
Diana is engaged, so that is one step here. We'll see if they come through with a tank for you in the top lane. What will be the answer from USF White as we have 10 seconds left on their pick? Looks like we have the Seraphine going mid lane. We have the Diana going in the jungle, so saving that counter pick for the top laner. Hovering Vex right now, it is the lock-in, so into that Seraphine, picking a more aggressive option in the Vex instead of the Anivia, who, prefers to stay back and farm a little bit. So I think coming out with a bit more of an aggressive pick here, I think is actually quite smart from USF White.
Now, I said Deep Sea Gaming Blue. They need, they just need to round it out. But USF White, they need a defibrillator. And the greatest CPR I've ever seen to recover this team comp. Because their first thing is not that great. But a Vex is definitely a start. But, I don't know how I feel about that Renekton.
Renekton, I think, so, for those of you who don't know, I'm assuming most of you do, but for some who don't, Renekton, what he gives into the competitive scene is the ability to dash in, find one person, stun that person for any follow-up C2 that might be a little bit more difficult to hit. So something like a Vex ultimate onto a stun target. That is what the Renekton is able to provide. It is, I think, a lot more difficult, especially at this elo, to execute that correctly, but it is most definitely possible. So I think that is why Renekton is such a high priority into the higher elos, because he's able to dash in, stun one person, and get out with very little punishment on his end. So I think that is the idea behind this Renekton pick, but we have the Gnar coming through on the other side here for DSG into that Renekton.
It's just, I think USF did kind of round out their comp in a good way, personally. I now can more so conceptualize how a fight would go. Moon engages in. Curse of the Sad Mummy. You got Kindred firing, Ashe slowing up some targets. Vex coming in, can get a guaranteed ulti, following up on the Amumu. You have a lot of damage coming out from multiple different sources. You got a lot of CC, but it's just weird. DSG's comp, though, Blitzcrank hooks, and if he doesn't, then Gnar engages and Seraphine follows up with Diana. That's the idea. So, despite, I think USF do have an interesting comp. Very interesting and weird. I think DSG's I think DSG's comps are just a little bit more cohesive and easy to execute. But I think we're gonna send it to the analyst desk.
I was about to do that myself. So we do want to get Quicksand in here, get his take on the draft. So we're just gonna send it over to the analyst desk, and we'll see what Quicksand has to say.
Yo, what's up, guys? We're on the analyst desk, joined by who is that? Slatty and Hypersloth. Wait, what are you guys doing here?
Well, we're still here. Yeah, we are looking forward to game 2 here between USF White and Deep Sea Gaming Blue. What do you think of the draft here, Quicksand? What's your take on all of this?
Okay, look, I'm not gonna lie. You guys have been dogging on the USF White draft. I gotta say,
I
not
have a problem with it. I think it was
okay.
Slatty.
Maybe it's Slatty. Maybe it's just
I'm
Slatty.
dogging on that hard, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Look, USF White have an unbelievable amount of engage and pick potential. That's exactly what they're looking for right now. Their team fight is fairly strong with the fact that Ashe, look, you do bring up the point where she doesn't feel that strong to play, and it is true. When you're playing her, it feels like sometimes when you're kiting that she's not dishing out what you're looking for, but she still certainly has that damage to deliver. And Kindred as sort of that off ADC as well, leading to range damage sources, having a really strong front line, leads to not only having an incredible single-person pick comp. So if Tristana gets ahead, Diana's trying to solo the dragon, they're in perfect places to knock a team fight down to a 4v5, and then USF White can take any fight they need to. And their team fight's fairly strong, but Deep Sea Gaming Blue, neither team wants to 5v5. They both will have to in some point, but Deep Sea want to skirmish. They want to get those 3v3s, those smaller fights, because they have that nice little Diana ult to come down, Seraphine to back them up, but they don't have any super big mega wombo combo crowds besides maybe that Diana ult. I mean, Nani to save the rage come through.
I think Diana followed up by a Gnar is a fairly good wombo combo if timed.
Okay. You know what I mean? The 5v5, they can still 5v5 strong, but it's not 100%. The idea of that comp. It's not the idea of that comp. So
100% agree. Yeah.
USF White, they need picks. That's what I'm feeling.
I 100% agree, because if you look at these Ashe ultimate followed up by an Amumu, followed up by Vex, the pick potential from wherever is insane. If you could get a long range Ashe arrow, you see that happen, and so all of a sudden Vex is flying in out of nowhere to follow up on that. I think the potential for a cross map pick is very, very strong for USF White. It's just a matter of they need to land these CCs in order to make that happen. So I think if executed correctly, this pick comp will be very strong here for USF White, but it's just a matter of if they actually do execute that correctly.
And I would
So, Slutty, hold on. I'm gonna jump in on top of you.
Okay,
Whatever
alright.
point you'd like to throw in, get that through as well.
Okay,
but-
I'm gonna get this through because the main thing that not Mousetrap. Quick, what was it?
Just call me Sloth. That
Sloth.
works.
One of those.
Sloth.
The thing is that Sloth harked on was, are they able to execute it? And if you looked at last game, I don't care what anyone says on how good this comp is. This comp is uncoordinated and it is hard to execute. And their coordination last game was what cost them the game, in my opinion. So going with a comp that doesn't coordinate well, or a comp that is very weird, to, like, at least for me, I'm hearing your points that it's still a good comp. You got a lot of pick potential and stuff with the Ash Arrow, but if you don't get it perfectly, and you don't get the Ash Arrow, and the Vexalt misses, what, like, there's some parts of the comp where it's really hard to conceptualize how you play. So going with a little bit more complicated comp, especially since you faltered in the ability to really become a cohesive unit, I think is a bad call, in my opinion.
Okay.
No,
Well, Slutty,
no, go ahead, quick.
and Sloth, do you two? Well, it kind of seems like you're leaning to one side. Do you think that just because of the coordination that White have shown that you don't think is particularly strong, at least today, based on some things we saw last game? What about the other side? Do you think that it's going to be Deep Sea Gaming to take away the victory today? And Sloth, after that, your take, as well as
I think we know where Slutty is on this spectrum.
Yeah, I don't think you need to go to me.
I like an underdog story. I'm actually going to put in my vote for USF White. I think they have the ability to take these picks and make something of them. So I'm actually going to take their side on this one. I hope they don't let me down, and we'll see how they are able to execute this comp.
Yeah. Look, I am on the same side as you, Sloth. It's like look, a USF White underdog story, cheeky little comeback from down below. I think that the Amumu Vex Kindred especially, even though I'm not the biggest fan of her sometimes, like I still think she can be a great pick. Just she's some damage they need to be able to pull through, especially in the jungle. So I am on the side of USF White here, but it really could go either way. I think we're in a position here to jump to just a quick breather as we load into our game. We will get our games ready, and we're going to jump onto the Rift in just a moment. For now, we're going to jump to a quick break. Back to the Risen recap. Today, we're looking towards Risen Unstoppable, and the stream started off with a bang, Quicksand asleep.
It's the first game of Unstoppable Risen Premade. Come on, get up.
But I gotta say, he was smooth once he rolled into it. And our first series was Big Bongo Boys playing up against Clarity Black. For the first 20 minutes of the game, it was a bit of fighting in the top lane, but not much happened besides that.
Oh, but the engage coming out from Sejuani, but it's trading back, and Maokai actually regenerated a lot more health than I would expected there.
For Boxer Squirrel, just really those kind of impacts making a huge difference in the gold.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I want to call them Triple B, BBB, or Big Bongo Boys, because they're not all same solos.
Then there was a mega turnaround fight for the Big Bongo Boys after they made a big dragon attempt, but then they got challenged again for the dragon attempt, which Big Bongo Boys won the fight towards.
On this side, and there's a 3v3 on the other side, but I can't punch to it, and I can't cut to it. But Boxer Squirrel in the midst of it all, unable to get too much out, but finds the Q before his last dies, and Chicken Fried Rice to team with good depth does not unfortunately have the W enough up to heal him. They call comes back in the circuit, but finds one. Can she find two? No, she gets shut down, and the exchange of lives is so insane. Can Maokai find the damage to Treble back? And he does, but unfortunately, it is the ace on the side of CLB that allows them to get this dragon.
Much later in the game, Big Bongo Boys chased Akali down in the bot lane, meaning that Clarity Black had so much freedom to take that first Baron, and from that Baron, they spiraled away from a teamfight and took the victory.
The higher ranked Clarity Black, and honestly, still performing extremely well.
Oh, and she can't get out simply, tries to ulti over the wall, but that's crucial. 4 members sent down. This is the freest Baron I've seen, and it's incredibly hard to siege anything. As we're talking about that, the dragon does in fact spawn.
This will be a very important fight. Dragon Soul on the line. Let's see.
This is so easy, and the onslaught of shadows into all of the members. We talk about Wombo on one side, we talk about Wombo on the other side, but the whole time is not correctly pinned on enough members to make it worth it and to make it so they can make this comeback. And unfortunately, at the end, CLB take the 8, and they look to take the game.
And then as we rolled into game 2, Maokai was picked again.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight, featuring
Maokai, the Twisted Treant.
Maokai is a support tank hybrid.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Bold move.
Overall,
Normally Darius is only reserved for those counter picks, and it looks like they're just going to respond with Maokai.
And the team was entirely green, so they kind of had the aesthetic advantage for the big bongo boys. For the first 22 minutes, I kind of got distracted watching the LCS. 100 Thieves did win, to a big surprise of all the casters. And
Everyone, we got Game 2 action here between DSG and USF White. We're about to hop into the action here fairly soon. We do just have Slatty. I will be taking over as the play-by-play guy just for this game, as Slatty got a bit excited there at draft, but we will see where we go from there.
Out of my job, whatever shall I do? I just have to be a poor analyst and just talk about dragons and waves.
But
and
talking
objectives.
about dragons is so fun.
It is.
Dragons-
It is very fun. But what I will be talking about is this level 1 invade with the Blitzcrank, the classic move.
They're going through the top side, which is interesting, especially when you look down bot and you see them going bot side. So,
oh my god, it's
miscommunication between the two teams. What the heck?
This is like an anti-fiesta. Like it's like a fiesta. It was supposed to be a fiesta, but because they both thought of the fiesta, but in opposite ways, it's no longer a fiesta. So
wow,
now they're just kind of
I've
sitting
never
there.
heard of an anti-fiesta before. I love that term, and I'm stealing it.
All right, lovely. Now, but I'm really excited to see what this Blitzcrank can do. You know, I'm gonna be watching him in the fights because if he lands that hook onto like Cheese or Lucas, it's currents. Especially if he lands it onto someone like Kuchu Lane, or even if he uses the ultimate to silence him. I think he's got a lot of playmaking ability and could be the difference maker. You know, Blitzcrank always known as that X Factor kind of champion.
Absolutely. So, doesn't look like we'll have any crazy starts from either of these junglers. So, or from any of these teams, as both the invades didn't work. They were able to, at least on the red side, they were able to get a ward down. So they have an idea where this jungler is starting. So that is always an advantage for sure. But both these junglers just starting on their bot sides, and looks like they are going to path up.
Yeah, interesting decision. Maybe playing more. I think it makes sense for the Kindred because the Renekton provides very easy gank setup, as you were talking about Sloth in Champions. Like how, you know, Renekton is just that dash forward stun up champion, makes everything a little bit easier. So I think rotating her up is a great idea, but the Diana is not really effective until level 6, maybe just playing for the counter gank. And if I am, you know, Polite Hitman and I am this DSG squad, I don't care. I'm not going to mess around with my bot lane. That Blitzcrank's going to put in work no matter what I do, so I might as well leave them to their devices.
Absolutely. So a bit of an interesting decision here from the jungler, but they may have a plan that we just don't know about. So you always have to keep that in mind as well. And it looks like both. Oh no, not both are full clearing, as Kindred opted in to skip her Krugs, looking though to full clear her blue side. Maybe just trying to get a bit of an early impact instead of opting in for that full clear.
You know, I'm gonna. You know, I'm just gonna flame this Tristanis for my own ego, but basically, you know, you saw her place that bomb on the tower, and I mean, this is kind of the objective of like a Blitzcrank Tristana lane, is if you push it in long enough, you can start hooking people away from the tower, or you can play the style where you sort of let them push if you can, and you also get hooks that way. But the fact that Tristana placed the bomb on the tower, autoed 4 times, it doesn't recognize that if you auto that extra time, you're actually going to be trading a negative amount of health. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We're seeing some more exciting action in the mid lane. I'm
really sorry, Tristana, you're getting a flame for your Tristana mechanics here from the caster's desk, but sometimes we need that. So hopefully we can find a way to compliment you later on in this game. But meanwhile, in the top lane, we see the Megadar coming through, stun coming through for Polite Hitman, as well as he gets the level and able to push that lane in, but nothing else happening other than that.
I mean, there's a reason that they're playing up there and I'm sitting up over here, so you know I can't really diss them too much. But we do see Chachi Lane going in for the gank here.
Yeah, Cinnabar is looking for a bit of a gank here, but unfortunately the 2 dashes is not enough. But meanwhile, in mid lane, we got the knockup for Aristotle Lubis. Cheese trying to find a good push away, but the hook in will claim. And the bomb is ticking, but the ignite is there. The flash forward from Father Wrangler will be able to grab the first blood. 7 Chakras has to run away, but a double kill coming in for the Tristana.
Oh my god, it's already bloody. You love to see the Blitzcrank with the early aggression. Walk in mid, says, I'm here to help out my mid laner. Rocket jumps him up, pulls him back. They barely don't get the kill, but Tristana does use the flash to follow up. So great stuff coming out, and getting 2 kills on your Tristana in this kind of lane state is really, really good.
Absolutely, we do like to see the Tristana getting those advantages when she can. However, you have to keep in mind that in the bot lane, Lucas was able to push out that wave, and so we'll be able to get that bounce back as he and LeChacha will find their back. So needing to take that path up to the mid lane in order to take those 2 kills for the Tristana does allow the bot lane for USF White to get a bit of an advantage in their own lane.
And I think what's important about using a lane like Tristana, Blitzcrank, where you push out the lane, you do all that stuff, you know, with the keyboard clacking a little bit in the background. I'm going to still be laying some great information on you, but we see them pushing in the bot lane. But important about pushing a lane is that vision. You can claim it a lot easier if you have the lane pushing because it's a lot harder to contest. But in addition, you just need that so that if the jungler tries to gank, especially since it's Mumu Ashe, it can spell doom for you even if you have access to the rocket jump. So I like that they're proactively taking vision. They're kind of going dark now, but I would assume that will be reapplied in the near future.
Yes, absolutely. We seem to have a bit of a spectator bug here for just a moment, but hopefully that will be sorted out soon. So we'll look at oh, there we go. We did manage to get it back.
All right,
but we finally got those items, so we're able to see the item advantages here, and we can see that's actually pretty important because we can see Aristotle Lubis picking up those mobility boots very early on the Blitzcrank, looking not just to impact his own lane but influence other parts of the map as well.
Oftentimes when I play Blitzcrank for fun, I intentionally ask my AD carry to look in my inventory. And when they ask me, oh, you should probably stay in lane and help me get it early, I'm like, look at my inventory. What do you think I'm wanting to do? And this Blitzcrank clearly wants to go around this bot side river and wants to look for this pick, potentially with his Diana on the Vex, pinging it up. And, you know, they're sending resources to go for this early dragon, which is kind of an unpopular decision.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this because, okay, as a jungler, I found that early dragons are the biggest bait of all time since I want to call it like the mini dragon rework, as it is very, very dangerous to go after these objectives because of how tanky they are. It takes so much time, you lose so much tempo, and the other team has so much time to make their way over and find perhaps a steal or a advantage team fight where you're already low because you're taking that dragon. So I think this might be a bit of a mistake to go for these early dragons, but both teams are looking to prioritize them right now.
And it is the side of Deep Sea Gaming with that commanding lead early. They're up to around 3,000 gold lead, but Cinnabar might... no, he's not going to deal too much. Nar has the bounce out, but back to what I was saying. That is a 2,000 gold lead for Father Wrangler and Deep Sea Gaming. You know, it was looking bad for them in the first game, but they pulled it back. But you definitely want more of a lead than you want more of a comeback if you are that squad.
That is true. You don't. It's a lot easier to come back or when you're up 2-0 than down 5-1. So a bit of an easier start here for DSG, and we'll see if they're able to keep it up, or if we'll see the opposite and see if USF White will be able to pull out their own comeback.
And I think we can notice that Play Hitman is like doing a really great job at spacing just out of Cinnabar's range. Because Cinnabar, we've been looking at these fights and every single time, but this time might be a little bit different.
There's the flash forward for Cinnabar, pops the ultimate as well. Blight Hitman has to respond to the flash of his own, but he will go nowhere as Cinnabar will finally be able to take out that annoyed Gnar in top lane.
I mean, great job coming out. Like, I was talking before, that Blight Hitman was keeping well, but I might have to be interrupted, but the flash is forced out from Ashe. You know, really important cooldown, especially a low mobility AD carry.
That is one of the advantages of having a Blitzcrank in the lane. A flashless immobile carry is just easy pickings here for this Aristotle Loomis. That is a long name to say in the thick of action, so I might lower that when we get into it. But very well done by him, just forcing out the flash, and we'll see if he's able to take full advantage of that as this lane goes on.
Personally, for me, if I'm on the side of Aristotle Loomis and Deep Sea Gaming, I want to send the Blitzcrank up because he does have the level advantage with the Mumu, and the Tristana is pretty self-sustaining. She is recalling, so I would want to send this Blitzcrank up for this Rift Herald, and it looks like they heard me loud and clear and want to do just that, but the engage is coming down.
Here we go. We have Denny Town coming in onto Cheese, but will be able to flash away. 2 ultimates used, but there he goes back in. Cheese with the ultimate and the ignite as well will be able to take that first kill. Denny Town now has to run away. He has Cinnabar right on him. He can't find the flash just yet. He manages to keep himself alive with the flash and the smite, but he is now in a very tough situation as the rest of USF White is collapsing onto him. But here comes the Mega Gnar, smashing Cheese into the wall, picking up that kill and making it even overall.
Oh my god, great stuff coming out. But you saw that Cheese was wanting to go for that play. He landed the first ulti onto the Seraphine, followed up with the kill, and he got the second ulti. The only problem was he didn't have enough mana to recast it initially. And so, despite waiting so long to recast and get the burst damage, it wasn't quite enough, and it allowed Denny Town to get out of that situation scot-free. Then the Mega Gnar came in, got survived, smashed him in the wall, did that damage, and a little bit of overextension, despite how good it looked for Choo Choo Lane.
So finally, we do have that Rift Herald picked up at around 10 minutes, so hopefully they will have enough time to find one of their carries to put that gold onto, but we will have to see how they utilize that Rift Herald, because last time, as we know, they weren't able to drop it for 14 minutes, so definitely a mistake that USF White will have to rectify this time around.
I mean, if I'm this Tristana, I'm going to jump in under the tower 1v1 because I have so much burst damage. I have the Kraken Slayer, and we know she doesn't have access to the ulti. So this is easy pickings, and maybe that's a little bit of a lack of knowledge. Maybe he doesn't want to push the lead too further. Or maybe it's just they know they already got the bag, and they just want to play to secure it, not want to play to gain anything more.
Yeah, you're really going in on this Tristana and her gameplay, I gotta say.
I mean, I'm just pointing out what she could potentially do. I mean, I only play 80 carry, so when one of my 5 champions that I actually know how to play comes to screen, and I'm an analyst, I gotta, you know, analyze the gameplay to the best of my ability, you know.
I probably would do the same thing if I saw Belveth or Trundle, but I haven't yet, so unfortunately not much I can say, as none of my champions are being picked up. But meanwhile, we do have Denny Town in the bot lane, looking for something cheesy here as he moves into the brush, the Blitz Hook not coming through, and Cinnabar now in top lane trying to go back onto the Polite Hitman, but has to use both of his dashes, so now doesn't really have a way out. Polite Hitman is just able to poke him down with those boomerangs. Cinnabar just has to kind of walk away.
Yeah, Polite Hitman is really killing him with kindness right now. You know, that might be his style of sort of executing his targets.
He gave him a warning in his name, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and I think personally, Polite Hitman is just playing this lane extremely well. He is, as you'll notice, he is constantly spacing in a way where he will not be under any threat or danger. He's spacing at the perfect distance where even if Cinnabar jumps in and dashes in, he can react by jumping out, and then Cinnabar, even if he A's back in, he's still not in range for the W, but that's not going to matter here.
yeah, that little hop, which is, I guess, isn't little when he's Mega Gnar, but the hop keeping Gnar a bit safe here, as once again, QQ Lane just tries to look for something, but not able to come up with anything this time around. In the meantime, Denny Town is now looking for something into the enemy jungle, but unfortunately will not find it. Meanwhile, Loomis with a hook into the mid lane. Cheese finds himself in trouble. Meanwhile, there's R3 looking for some kills here. Tristana has to flash away. Meanwhile, he jumps back in, but Kindred ultimate keeps himself and Cheese alive. And now LaChacha comes in with his own stun, only manages to get one. Denny Town tries to dash in, but he just gets deleted. They are able to pick up one, but now QQ Lane is in a lot of trouble. Double kill picked up by Father Wrangler, and he is able to dash away without too much issue. A lot of ultimates used, but it's a 2-for-1 here for the side of DSG.
Denny Town going to town on the enemy team. The 1v4 engaged with that ultimate was so insane. That fight started to look like it was going to maybe turn in USF White's favor because of the fact. Oh, but Aristotle Loomis!
Aristotle Loomis is not done. He's just diving under tower. Let's just knock him up, and the bomb is on Lucas's head. Tick, tick, boom. Tristana 5-0.
Okay, I gotta stop questioning this guy's gameplay, okay? I gotta sit back and I guess I gotta start taking notes on this guy's gameplay because he's playing these fights
I think he
beautifully.
heard you. It might be time to, as he's putting on a clinic here for you to take that advice. But here we go. We got the flash from Cinnabar, the flash in response from Polite Hitman, but the ultimate use from Cinnabar means overall it is a win as Polite Hitman is able to make his escape.
Just like Michael Jordan, this Tristana took my comments personally. So, you know, she's playing these fights really well, especially in that last fight. The jump in, knowing when to jump in and knowing when to jump, like knowing the perfect time to jump in is really important as Tristana because you can really get out a lot more damage than any other AD carry because of that assassin potential. And then she flashes out of the Vex cube, which would have feared her up and done a lot of damage and follow-up. But now we see Aristotle looking for the dirty hook.
Chile, that's not where you want to be. Forces the flash out of him, but Diddy Town chasing after him. Chile does not have this ultimate, but now Dinny Town uses the ultimate himself. Cheese dives in, gets the big reset, but will that be enough to get the kill? LaChacha dives back in, will just get deleted. Cheese has to go over the wall, but Tristana dives in and will not get the kill. Ultimate is on Cheese, but just gets deleted by the Seven Chakras ultimate. Diving in don't mean nothing when you don't have the health, and the double kill coming in from Seven Chakras.
There was a little bit miscalculation coming out from Father Wrangler. He jumped in, didn't notice that Ash would be in their time. You know, just a mistake happens to the best of us. But at the end of it, Cheese and LaChacha, Cheese kind of just flashed out, abandoning LaChacha. I mean, it's understandable because he doesn't have any more cooldowns left up to really help out that Amumu, but he kind of leaves him to die. And then after the end of that, when we had Lucas come in to try to help and get some of the kills, Cheese tried to re-engage, but just got hit by the Seraphine Encore. It did just enough base damage to kill them in that scenario. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, Kuchulain just not having access to that Kindred ultimate just really burns him here as he just walks into the brush and dies to the burst. But here we go, setting up around this dragon. We'll see what they're able to do. But you brought up one of my favorite memes, and I've wanted to make a joke for a while regarding Michael Jordan, but I think I might have to wait a few minutes before I bring this joke up, as we have the blue side going into the lane here. But here comes Ludus, but will that spell his own doom? Pops his own ultimate, walks away with just barely any health, but he will go down eventually. Now it's Tristana on a rampage. That's a double kill. Make it a triple. Father Wagler having a 9-1-1 game on this Tristana.
I'll stop talking about her. Yeah, I think I got the message, but we're gonna start talking about Cheese.
Town now diving in onto Cheese. It's another kill here for Tristana. Oh my goodness! Why were you even like saying anything about this guy? I think you just motivated him to prove you wrong.
Yeah, even the best players make mistakes, and so I think this guy is, you know, he's kind of like Giga Smurfing on these fools. He's playing these fights super well with the resets, smartly jumping over the wall, but Cinnabar might have the engage coming down. He does have the dashes.
Yes, Polite Hitman has not hopped away yet. Instead, decides to hop in. Cinnabar pops that ultimate. Polite Hitman does not have the Mega Narbar. It's not where he needs to be. It is getting close, but here comes the Amumu, but it's not in time. Polite Hitman knocks them both into the wall, but it won't be enough to save his life. Cinnabar takes the kill.
Yeah, Polite Hitman only turned that and made that a 1-for-1. Could have maybe turned that and made that more, but good stuff coming out of it, but it was barely just not enough. But the Vex engaging on the bot side.
Savage Chakras coming in. Uses his own ultimate to try and escape. Cheese is chasing. He does not have the fear on the passive anymore. So unfortunately, Savage Chakras is able to make his escape.
Didn't even have flash access, so he didn't even get a summoner out of it. So that is pretty unfortunate if you are Cheese. Didn't really get too much out of that play. Besides kind of putting the Seraphine in her own fountain.
All right, I think we have a bit of a break here, so now I can say my joke. It's one of my favorite memes. It's I took that personally by Michael Jordan, but it's Skarner's face, and it just shows like an ADC and then the Michael Jordan meme, and I just took that person. So I wanted to share that for the longest time since you brought that up. So any meme fans out there, that's a good one here for you.
Yeah, you know, League of Legends, you know, the community might be toxic, you know, the game might suck, but at the end of the day, the memes can be popping sometimes, so, you know, that is definitely an example of one of those, but Dinny Town got the Herald now. I would like to see where he kind of places it. Ideally, you would probably want to place it to help out his Tristana and get her even farther ahead, this, you know, sort of like one carry style, and, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm the prophet, or I'm I'm good. I just said their adjustment needs to be that they have more of a damaging 80, like keep scaling 80 carry, and look at how it's turning out for them.
Okay, yeah. If we call you the prophet, you were wrong about, you know, just on this gameplay. So, like,
Alright.
how much of a, like, are you like a 50-50 prophet? Like, you know, half your predictions are true, or what's the deal here?
Yeah, there's like a character from like a game. He talks about like how he gets like profits 35% of the time. But if he can predict the future 35% of the time, that's actually pretty good. I mean, like,
I would be okay with that, yeah.
I would be okay with that. I would be like, you know what? There's a 35% chance that you're telling me that I'll make $1 million in the next year. I will take those chances home to the bank.
Oh, so like whatever he says is like a fair game.
Yeah,
for that 35% chance.
Yeah, for that. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
they're taking commanding lead of this late game. They know what to do. They're playing.
Yeah, so Aristotle Loomis is roaming around looking for these blitz hooks, but the jungle control is just fully over to Denny Town, and the rest of DSG is just Q2 Lane just does not have any avenue to get into his own jungle here.
Yep, they're clearing the vision, taking it out. You know, and it's so scary to walk into your own jungle because there could, in any one of these bushes, it could be blitzcrank. You know, this is more, in general, the jungler rule when it comes to 80 carries, but then you can also say this with blitzcrank. If you don't know that blitzcrank's in that bush next to you, he is in that bush 100% of the time, and that's the mentality you gotta have to ensure that you don't make the advantage that they currently have any worse, and it's just so scary to go through your own jungle.
Absolutely, and you can see that gold lead. It is almost 9,000 gold at 20 minutes. That is just so rough here for the side of USF White. They're going to have to turn things around if they want anything to do in this game. You can see that gold lead in the ADC rule, almost 6,000 gold ahead. You can see where all the chips in the basket are for the side of DSG, and they drop the Rift Herald into the mid lane. They're going to extend this gold lead even further.
Yeah, they just want to take command, even more of a commanding in this later portion of the game. And especially spawning the Rift as a dragon spawns, I think it's a great call. You want to push this wave in, and the Herald definitely helps you do that. And you want to get yourself up to soul point, so you start forcing people to fight and end the game really quickly. But they are looking for maybe a flank angle. They maybe want to turn it right here, right now.
And here we go. LaChacha diving in, gets the 4-man ultimate. Everyone is diving in after him. Lots of CC coming through, but so far it is a 2-for-2. Tristana is still alive going into that Kindred ultimate, keeps himself alive a bit more, but the shutdown comes through for Cheese. That is now 4, but now Polite Hitman pops the Megadar. Will he be able to turn this around? He is dropping dangerously low. Lucas is just free firing. Cheese is there as well. Gets the ace. Almost 10k gold down. USF White turned that fight.
What an amazing fight, and they're able to look over to this dragon and stall up the game even longer. It's a great play coming out from LaChacha, the 4-man engage, and he's able to follow up super easily with the sensing. Cheese pops his ulti, Ash pops his ulti, and the entire squad going up, but the TP's coming out.
Here we go. It's the TP coming in from 7 Chakras. Will he be able to turn this? Is going on to Lucas, who drops dangerously low, is still auto-attacking. But the 7 Chakras will not be denied, and Cheese will be able to get a revenge kill for his ally, but will he be able to burst this dragon down fast enough? I do not believe so. LaChacha is there as well, but here comes the Armageddon. Dina Town, Tiny Towns, Dina Town? I don't actually know. Diddy Town is there, will be able to pick up this dragon. Oh, but Kuchule tries to get the steal, but it just leads to his death.
As you had a bad day, you take your mark down, you can't even steal the dragon. Oh no, I just screwed over the entire broadcast. But you know, they're going in for the steal, and I think she has definitely some tools to make that happen. But because she doesn't have the lamps to spy, she can't really bait out a smite with that way, and it gets really rough. And now they're looking towards the Baron. They know the jungler's not alive, and it looks like they're just going to be able to burst this down before anything happens.
The Ash Arrow is coming, but it'll just pass through, because unfortunately it does not hit objectives. You're hoping that the splash damage from hitting the jungler or anyone else in that pit does enough to the Baron to steal it, but unfortunately does not actually hit anyone, and instead just flies off into endless space.
I mean, dude, I was about to say, like, oh, I think Tristana should not go Bloodthirster, it should get QSS because of the CC or whatever. But, you know, I can't be questioning this man anymore.
You can't question everything he does is the correct thing from now on. But here we go. Polite Hitman has just lost the Meganar. Little Nar is tired, but he is getting bursted down, but here comes the rest of his team to back him up. Cinnabar picks up the first kill onto Polite Hitman. LeChacha drops dangerously low and has to run away, but Diddy Town is there to pick up the kill as well. Now Cinnabar dropping low as well, and that is just a disaster here. 3 for 1 for DSG.
And despite the last fight looking so promising, they won it through great engage. But if the stars don't perfectly align and the sun and the moon and your chakras don't go perfectly as planned, then you're just gonna get smashed in by this Tristana brutal damage. She's got the IE, she's got the Kraken, she's got the PD, she's got the BF sword, she certainly, because of all those items combined, she has the damage.
But 7 chakras do align, as there's 7 chakras on the enemy team. So you can see why the success is coming here for the side of DSG. Back-to-back Seraphine games is still putting up a lot of damage with that Rylai's and Liliandry's, so always got to keep that in mind as well. But it is Father Wagler on the Tristana, 14-2-3, as Kraken Slayer, Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and the Berserker's Greaves. It is a terror on the Rift right now.
She's dealing so much damage. So she sends like Renekton and the Mumu. Normally you would have to get something like an LDR for those two, but because you have so much damage, you're so accelerated compared to them, you don't really even need that armor shred. So you're not only dealing so much damage to the tanks, but you're dealing insane amount of damage to the squishies. And if they can't take Tristana out at the start of these fights, I don't think they got any shot at getting it back in this game.
With an 11.5k gold lead right now, it will take a comedy of errors for the side of DSG to lose this game. So we are going to be looking to see if there is a comeback angle at any point, but as of right now, it is DSG's game to lose.
Now, but Tristana jumping in the 1v1 scenario, I think, she actually
Yeah,
wins
she
that. Has the
just
burst.
kills
Yeah.
the mid laner. That's no.
Does
Whatever.
not care. Burst damage be damned. She literally does not give a single bit about that. And now we got some fun going on.
Yes, with the Baron pushing onto the bottom tower, you have the remnants of USF White here to try and protect what little remains of their base. Baron buff has run out, but Aristotle Loomis flashing forward does not manage to land that hook, so now he is a Blitzcrank with no flash. Is able to walk away with the safety of his team behind him, but with Cheese spawning in about 7 seconds, the 5v5 might happen once again, but Inhibitor down in the mid lane.
Yeah, the dragon spawning in 1 minute and 4 seconds, and that is going to be the crucial soul point. And when you have the Mountain Soul in your head, it just makes it that much easier to win the game. It's a lot harder to take down and burst out your necessary carries, and that could be a difference maker if they are able to layer their CC well on this Tristana. Even if they get all the damage down, it might not be enough because that Mountain Soul extra stats and shield might be enough to keep her alive. So it's going to be really rough if they can't steal this one away, but Kindred is one of those few champions that, because she has access to wall hops, she doesn't need and she also has the flash, she has the ulti, she can definitely make a run for stealing here and definitely try to prolong this game.
Absolutely, but here, the flash is forced up from LeChacha as Aristotle Loomis goes for the hook there as well. Cheese gets a fear onto 2, but no one around to follow up, so the enemy team is just able to walk into the jungle and walk out scot-free.
And this Blitzcrank, doing Blitzcrank things, with the one exception of hitting hooks, not doing a great job, but he might be looking to prove me wrong, but he's caught up in a weird spot.
Throws another hook, and that one goes wide as well, but the Tristana is here ready to find another set of kills as the dragon is spawned. Dinnytown is bursting it down along with the Mega Gnar. Aristotle Loomis is looking for a free pick here, manages to grab the jungler, but the Kindred ultimate comes in clutch, saving the jungler for now, but is stunned against the wall. The dragon is picked up from Dinnytown, so that is the dragon's soul. And it is an absolute slaughter here for DSG as they will get the ace, and that will end the game.
Really well played from Stuff. In that last fight, Kindred could have potentially stalled. She had the better play, but it was really smart of DSG to walk out of the pit and say, no, we're not even going to let you anywhere near the potential to steal. And Father Wrangler is the main man of this carry. If you say anyone else is MVP, you gotta be trolled.
I'm gonna say Blitzcrank. Okay, no, I will agree with you on this one. I'm going to say Father Wangler did have a wonderful game. 16-2-7 on the Tristana, an absolute havoc on the Rift. Well played to them, and it is a 2-0 series win for DSG.
And let's talk about a little bit more on that analyst desk. Woo!
Hey, what's up?
Yeah,
Okay.
what's up,
Quick on
Quick?
Quick said.
I guess it was
Okay.
right, me. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. Look, that game was an unbelievable performance from Tristana. Look, Father Wrangler just came through with something special. There were so many moments where they found room to just kite and blow up the enemy team. But I can't help but see that what I was mentioning from the side of White is that they kept taking those 5v5 fights. That last fight that they just got dumpstered in was a fight. They all just went in and they got hammered. It's like they unfortunately were forced to play out of their team composition, which is probably what led them to lose in the end. But having that Tristana, which is so far ahead, just carried them through the end as well. I mean, why was that Tristana so strong, Slutty?
I think it was just well played. And especially since you know how he jokingly said Blitzkrieg was the MVP in the early game, in that crucial early fight. Tristana and Blitzkrieg drove it up. He did a really good job at hooking them back and giving a Tristana 2 kills with the Blitzkrieg into an Ashe and Mumu lane is disaster because she can keep jumping in during these keep jumping into the bot lane. She can keep getting resets. It is just snowball city after that point, and I think that was the real turning point to where the Tristana started to pop off, and then she just consistently played the fights really well.
Absolutely. I think once you're able to get a few kills snowballing on the Tristana, it just spiraled out of control for DSG. And, very well played to everyone. I think Polite Hitman did his job when he needed to. I think Dinny Town was there to pick up those objectives as well. You could see all the assists happening for Dinny Town. He was there for a majority of the Tristana's kills. 23 assists on the Blitzcrank as well. So well done to everyone on the team assisting Tristana in that win.
On the other side, though, it did feel like that Vex was getting an impact down. She was definitely the most dangerous person on the other team, constantly jumping in, constantly blowing people up, and she made the chases happen. She really started putting a lot of the pressure here on Deep Sea Gaming. Why was it that they couldn't pull it through?
In my opinion, it's because you see a champion like Vex, she can deal a lot of damage, but when you have carry versus carry, Vex versus Tristana. The problem is Tristana wins that matchup pretty hard. She can rocket jump out of the Vex stun or the CC. She blows Vex up instantly. You saw it in the mid lane, even though Vex was a lot behind. Tristana just jumped on her, pressed left click, called it a day, and got the free kill under the tower. And so I feel like that carry sort of matchup is heavily in Tristana's favor. And I think that's a part of the reason the Vex, even though she was really the most help on the team, doing twice as much as her second most damaging member in Cinnabar on that team, she wasn't able to successfully carry her teams out of the dumps and win the game.
I'm kind of in the same boat there. I think, yes, Vex has a lot of burst damage when executed correctly, but it is someone who does need a lot of team help because she is still a squishy mage, and her ultimate does rely on her diving in to the middle of the enemy team in order to effectively use that. So I think she does need a team around her to try and allow herself to be safe while she does the damage. And just in a 1v1, just Tristana will win that because she's such a good 1v1 person against another carry, right? So I think just in that matchup, that is just obviously gonna go into the favor of the Tristana, and she's on the Vex just couldn't close it out for his own team.
And look, the Deep Sea Gaming, now that they've taken that away, have managed to level themselves with USF White, which puts them in a really strong position to get into playoffs. And both these teams are on very much the upper end of their group, which is really good for them. Almost guarantees a playoff spot for them. We may be seeing some tiebreakers in the coming weeks as we roll into playoffs. But there are still other games that are going to be happening in the background, so make sure we will update you guys with the other games that were played off screen, all the cheeky little info. As for now, Deep Sea Gaming Blue managed to take away that best of 3 in a big 2-0 sweep. In that second game, an unbelievable Tristana. And in that first game, a very close win that almost was clinched away from them, but they managed to hold on to it very tight. Now, we can all get comfortable, prepare for all the other games that might be coming in. We still have our Worlds game that's flying oyster tomorrow morning. I'm just saying.
They're
maybe
not making it
tonight
out
for
of
you guys.
groups. Flying Oysters is not making it out of groups. I'm saying it now. They're not. They won't.
Why are you guys hating so much, man? It's crazy.
Haley Copium here. Okay, I'm still gonna say Argentina
If
will lose
NA
every
doesn't
single game.
succeed, Fly Oysters won't succeed. It's what I'm going with.
I kind of want to see
Okay.
the. Part of me wants to see like the Korean Chinese Armageddon, where not a single other team besides the top 4 Chinese teams and the top 4 Korean teams make it out. I feel like that would
Rogue
be a
has
really
already
big
made
statement.
it. One of the European teams.
I
is
know
in, though.
Rogue's already made it, but I wish it was not the case.
Look,
You know what I'm saying?
Rogue. Maybe look. I think Rogue has a solid chance. Either way, we're not the world's analyst desk yet.
We'll get
Yes.
there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Either way, this has been an amazing Risen Unstoppable stream. We do have our playoffs coming up very soon. Our team's still contending for those playoff spots, so make sure you tune in next week at the same time. For now, it is a beautiful day outside for me at the middle of the day. It's time for lunch. It's time to go get some sun, read in the park. For you guys, what time is it now?
For me, it's about 6 p.m., so it's time to get some dinner and then go back to studying. I think that's the plan now.
And Slutty, you have a nice evening prep as well.
Mm-hmm. That's what I plan on doing, drinking my grape juice. Oh, it's out.
Wait,
All right.
you need to go and get some grape juice, Quick said. I forgot.
Yeah, I got that down. My shopping list. Time to get some grape juice today. That's the plan for the rest of the day. Grape juice, relaxing. The cloud just came out. That's so lame. The sun's gone now. All right, guys. I better go chase that bad boy. Everyone else, please enjoy your evening, your day, your afternoon, your morning. Whatever time it may be for you, thank you for coming to the Risen Unstoppable stream. We will be jumping into a raid just a moment. The other games going on right now is actually at a best of 3 third game right now in their playoffs. So we will be bringing everyone over to them. If you're hungry for some more League of Legends action, stay tuned, hang around. We'll be here next week at the same time. For now, I've been Quicksand. That's been Slutty. That's Hypersloth. We do have all our wonderful Twitters here down below, which would be much appreciated if you followed. Quicksand _ SlityV3 and Hypersloth TTV. Follow us all up. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Again, shout out to Lucan for broadcasting everything, and we will see you all next week. Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.